Hello,
Hey,
everybody.
hey, Jacob Waters. Hey, Mudrabbit.
Hi, Terry, Jacob, Emily, Mad Pogue. Wow, who else
Yeah, we
out
had a
there?
bunch of people stop in all throughout the the
Did you
post.
send
So
out the notification?
yeah, it gets updated through them before it starts. And
Okay.
so I was trying to explain this to Matt. Is it Mad Pog?
Mad Pogue?
Yeah, is that how it's pronounced?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The person in the comments, is it Mad Pog that Mud Rabbit was talking to?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if I was pronouncing it right, but what I was going to say was he was wondering why it comes up with a different time. That, like, if I create it and it's not scheduled, it'll come up at a different time. And then same
Yeah.
with being on different channels. Like when I'm live now, I can share everybody's comments no matter what channel you're on, just to give everybody kind of a heads up about it. So
Right.
I don't know what channel Emily's on or Mud Rabbits Mud Rabbits was tuning in at, but I can share all the comments in a row and everybody will at least be able to see where people are at because I'm on Facebook and 2 YouTube channels right now. So just in case there's any confusion offline.
No problem. I'm
But
having to refresh
Yeah.
because I've got an old laptop. So,
oh
what
yeah,
do we think of the president's speech yesterday?
Was it yesterday? That was only
It's the day
yesterday?
before. Hey, look, they
So
took a
much has
lot of
happened
blood today, and my
since. Oh
arm is
my
still
goodness.
hurting.
You you could fill a whole year's worth of news of stuff that's happened since he came out and said, "Yeah, I'm Big T, and I'm running for president of the United
Right?
States." Look at
Yeah,
what
but
happened.
it is triggering all this. It is triggering this waterfall of drops that's just coming faster and
Yeah,
faster and faster. I
yeah.
mean, the news this morning, I had to have a second cup of coffee because I had to read it all.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. Another cup of coffee, smoke them if you got them. Kind of, yeah. It's
That's too
party
early for
time,
me
isn't it?
today.
Is it happening? Is it officially happening? Can we at least say that? Is it happening right now? And
Yeah, I mean,
also,
Marjorie, as soon as we got Congress, they all moved on the jackals. I mean, geez, now she's dropping
yeah,
the impeachment. What else did she do?
yeah.
I mean, they're all going after all the right things. And there was something I was watching today where he actually came out and accused Biden and said, we're going to investigate it.
And is Robin D. Bullock the one that called it
Yeah, he did.
how many months ago and calling them jackals?
He called it, and Kim Clement called it years ago.
Outstanding that I
Yeah,
found him. You
they
know,
called it. And Trey Smith is also right on with decoding the prophecies. So
yeah.
we've got a
It
lot of people out there. There's also Jonathan Kahn. I love his
yeah.
show. He's
He
amazing.
from Israel, right?
Yeah.
The rabbi. Yeah,
Yeah, he's the one that's all dressed in black with the beard.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he's amazing. He is just amazing. So all
yeah.
these people put together, I mean,
I enjoy
all the
his delivery
prophets are
and his
coming together.
cadence
Yeah,
because he explains so many things so well.
he's got some amazing stuff on YouTube for anyone that's interested.
Yeah.
what's the name of the channel, Mud Rabbit? I'll share it.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Okay.
Rabbi Jonathan Kahn. I'm sure you would find it.
Yeah,
Rabbi Jonathan Kahn.
you want his official?
Kahn.
Here it is. Yeah,
No,
come
not that
on.
Kahn. Yeah, from Star Trek.
Yeah. So he's really good. He's got one series that I was listening to months back. Trying to remember the name of it. You think I should remember it? I'm looking. Maybe it's under playlist. Anyway, he's got a bunch of really good stuff over there. So anybody who's got the time that just wants to go through what he's got, I mean, a lot of it is just spot on.
I'll have to check it out. I haven't actually listened to him before, I don't think.
Okay, let me get that. Okay, closing all the windows. I had to move out to the kitchen so I didn't wake anybody up on the other side of the wall.
So you said that you saw the whole speech and listened to it, and I did as well. What were your thoughts? What stood out to you?
You know what? It was everything he's been telling the Anons all along. Everything Q's been talking about with the Anons all along. All the Anons knew all of that.
Right.
This was for the normies. This was for the people who didn't read the drops, who didn't, read all the research, didn't get in touch with these fabulous Anons, like IET7 and DC Drano, same person. The Punisher, Joe M. Oh my God, Joe M. Vincent Kennedy. They don't know who these people are. And these people are all the people that did the research and are still doing the research. Bioclandestine, Brian Cates.
Still in it.
Yeah, I mean, I just turned a lady on to devolution the other day and it blew her mind. Some of these people just don't have a clue. They don't have a clue.
Yeah.
So it was more for the normies and the Anons. I mean, all the Anons, I was happy for it because I get caught up in that excitement. It's like every time I see him, I get a grin ear to ear. And it's like, oh, here he is. And I'll sit there and grin at the television and watch him on Rumble,
Yeah.
But it's stuff we already knew. It's just a promise that these are the things that he's going to do. I think for us Anons, he knows we're wary.
Mm-hmm.
And he's offering us some comfort there, telling us, don't worry, we're almost there. Hang in there.
Yeah.
It's like they said, the General George Washington speech to his troops. Come on, hang in there, guys. And then I keep looking at the Q drop that said Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Here's your present.
Yeah. Is it going to be this, or are things going to get worse before they get better?
Oh, I think they're going to get worse before they get better.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be as worse for our country as they are in other countries. I mean, my family in Lebanon right now, it's getting ridiculous.
Wow.
The lira has been devalued so badly. And I saw the last time this happened when I was over there after the war. What was that, 96, 97, something. And my sister-in-law went to buy something and she just handed him a wad of bills. It was like, and if you use American money over there, they'll accept it, but they don't give you change. So you have to use to the nearest dollar.
Hello?
So it was just really bad how bad their money got devalued. And I think that's going to happen here, but not as bad. But that's my opinion. I could be wrong.
I mean, it's definitely possible. I don't know why it wouldn't be. I mean, and it's definitely pointing to those signs.
Yeah, it really is. But even if you look back over our last depression, I mean, I remember my great-grandmother and my grandmother telling me about it. My great-grandmother was born in 1911, but my great-grandmother was born before the turn of the century. And I remember her telling me as a child, I had her till I was 14. I was 14 when she died. And she would tell me things about the Depression, about what happened back then, which is why I get so fascinated with these channels on Tartaria.
Which one's Tartaria?
The Tartarian channels, the Lost Civilization. They had a lot of technology back then. And now my great-grandmother never alluded to that, but just certain ways she talked about things, almost like a warning. So I'm assuming she went through what we're going through now.
I mean, so do you, with the talk of the Great Depression, do you think any of the depressions that have gone on in my lifetime are considered depressions?
No, recessions.
They were just
No.
Just recessions. No, you know, we have never had a depression, and that's what they're trying to tell us, that this is just a recession. But I have a feeling it's going to be a little worse, a lot more worse than just a recession.
Okay.
But it's not going to be as bad as it is in other countries. But then, that, like I said, that's my opinion.
I was always curious because I think a lot more people have had experience with depressions that are older than myself, and I don't have the right reference to actually go off of. I can only, I've
Right.
never seen as many people lined up as soup kitchens as what I hear about in history.
Yeah.
When it was actually like that was what everybody was doing in that area. It
Yeah.
wasn't. There was no exception.
Well, my great grandmother was an orphan. Her mother died. She had a brother, and her father could not take care of them. He had to go to another city to work, so he left them in an orphanage. She never saw him again. So she came up through all of that. She had to grow up in an orphanage. I'm imagining she saw some pretty tough times.
Matt Pog said, "Yeah, my dad, not Grant, was born in 23 and was a depression baby his whole life."
Mm-hmm. My mother has, and I've got them somewhere I've got my great grandmother's cedar chest, and somewhere in the stuff that's in there, I haven't had a chance to go through it yet, are ration stamps that my mother had when she was a toddler. They gave out ration stamps for food, for milk, for things like that.
Mm-hmm. Seen those.
And I've got an envelope of those somewhere in that chest.
Yeah. They turn up at estate auctions every so often.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I've only seen them once. I think I was in my early 20s the last time I saw those, probably earlier than that.
And I will say this, that generation, my grandma, there is no one greater that bakes a better apple or black raspberry pie. No.
They all have that one recipe.
Yeah, and what is it about that generation that if you've ever been to a bake sale or a pie sale or a pie auction to where they're raising money for a cause or who are all you got to do is say, yeah, this pie was mentioned or this pie was baked by so and so, who everyone knows they're in the local community as being the greatest grandma that has ever been there, and the just one pie will go for over $100, 200, 500. Ridiculous.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
The state or county or whatever regulation has to get into it. Got to make sure you got no pets in your house when you bake that pie. Got to make sure you're using approved ingredients. You baked it at the right temperature.
They didn't worry about. I feel like they didn't worry about that much stuff back in the day. I feel like more nowadays. Well, is it gluten free? Is it?
Yeah,
is it baked at the right temperature?
Well, here's something that's very shocking.
Spelt.
Go ahead. Here's very shocking. I don't know if you know this or not, but French fries, they come from potatoes. Potatoes grow in dirt.
Yes.
If you're eating French fries, you are eating dirt. Nothing is dirtier than French fries.
Probably a few nematodes too. My dad freaked out. I pulled the carrots. We do carrots for the grandson. And we pulled the carrots, and my dad, the first day, started taking them and skinning them. I'm going, no, don't do that. Why? I said, because you got to get the nematodes out of them. But I buy them in the store, and they're fine. I said, yeah, but by the time you buy them in the store, they've removed the bugs. When you grow them in your yard, you got to do it yourself. So I had to soak them overnight in vinegar and water, and it removes all the nematodes and all the little organisms that get inside the root fruit, and now you can eat them. But people don't realize that that's what they do before they go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Matt Pog said there were no health regs. BITD. I don't know what.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Oh, back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Back to the Future, back in the day.
You just kind of trusted your elders. Yeah. Went with what was considered, the regular thing to eat for a dinner.
Mhm.
And I think
What
it
scares me
bled
is
off into my
that
generation, but like the home cooked meal idea, but the home cooked meal had kind of evolved into a lot more of a store bought home cooked meal.
yeah, I was just going to say there are so many people out there nowadays that don't know how to cook, and thank God I had a grandmother and a great grandmother that went through this depression and whatever my great grandmother went through, because I learned to cook from them. And I see people now, you buy this stuff in the store, even when they think they're cooking from scratch, they're using something processed. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I agree with you on that one too, as well, Mad Pog, because I've worked in plenty of restaurants, and yeah, they, depending on how busy they are and how tight on money they are, they very, very little change their oil, and that's how I always look and see what's on the menu. Do they make a lot of fish and chicken? Because I feel like the flavor bleed through is horrible.
Yeah, and they're not supposed to do that. I've run restaurants for corporate chains, and they're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to have one fry later. We had, it was Bobby Rubino's. We had the zucchini and the onion rolls, the veggies, the French fries, the zucchini, all of that went in this fry later. Seafood went in that fry later. They're supposed to separate it so that doesn't happen. And they're supposed to empty those things nightly.
Yeah, I thought you were supposed to do them at least once a day.
No, no. Those things get emptied
I think it's different, but I think the regulations are different from state to state. But in the state of Illinois, the regulation is you had to change those daily. Like, and I know there's another really weird one that a lot of people don't keep up with, and it's at bars, and it's changing out their beer lines. You're supposed to change those out on a regular basis too, and get them cleaned as well.
They're supposed to come off nightly and get soaked.
What's that?
They're supposed to be soaked nightly.
No, not just the tabs. I'm talking about the lines that run through the bar for any beer that's on tap.
Yeah, you're supposed to purge them.
Yeah, you had to purge them and clean them daily, and then you're actually supposed to change them out yearly. You can't even keep the same material and keep washing it for a period of time.
Yeah, you have to do that. Ice bins. This is what always gets me when I go to a restaurant. If I see any black on the edge of the ice bin, I'm out of there.
And I think it's funny because, like, working in a restaurant, I already know what the dirtiest thing in the restaurant is. Does anybody have an idea what the dirtiest thing in the restaurant is? And it's not anywhere in the bathroom.
I do, but I'm not going to say because I have a heads up on
And I think it has to have. Well, I guess it doesn't. If it's a restaurant with a waitress or a busboy, it's applicable.
Oh, you're talking about the side station?
I'm talking about the rag that they go around with, that same one that wipes down every single table. And they do nothing to it.
No, they're not supposed to do that. We had in the side stations, we had 3 side stations. In each side station, there was a bus pan with water with a little bleach in it. And that's where the rags went. And you pulled 6 of them in the evening. And those were only for the table. You had different rags for your hands. You had different rags for the side station. And at night, when they did their side work, they could use all the rags to clean because they've been soaking in bleach. But no, they're not supposed to do that. And
but how many times have you went into a restaurant and just saw it hanging out of some guy's pocket or out of their bin where they're collecting all of the dishes in?
That's supposed to be for their hands. That's not supposed to be for the tables.
Yeah. It's wild to me.
I used to yank them off of my busboys' belt loops. They used to hang them on their belt loops and walk through the dining room with them dangling on them and get the side of their pants all wet. And I'd walk up behind them and yank that sucker off.
Eric, that could be sometimes the most dangerous, depending on how bad your servers are.
What, the ice?
Yeah.
Yeah, you break the ice, you got to empty that ice bin and get rid of all that ice. If you break the glass into it, yeah.
Yeah.
But what gets me is
I used to get that at bars all the time. I'm like, why? We have a scooper. Why are you digging the glass into there?
Yeah, they're not supposed to do that. I've fired people for that. It just
I
gets
feel like
crazy.
nowadays, CM, the register's probably pretty clean with all the hand sanitizer all over the place.
It all boils down to your management. If you're on top of things and you hire quality people, then you don't really have a lot of the problems with a mess. Because when you hire people who keep their houses clean, they're going to keep their state clean. But when you hire somebody and you go out, one of the little tricks I use coming in for an interview or something, if I could see what the inside of their car was like, I get a general idea of how clean this person was going to be in my unit.
Yeah, you broke up there, Mudrabbit.
We missed most of that.
Yeah. Start over. What is the most important thing or the best trick? What did you just say? We all missed it here.
Oh, did I flip out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me? I used to say if I could get a look at inside their car, it would give me a general idea of how clean they were. I mean, if somebody can't keep their inside of their car clean, they're not going to keep their workstation clean, and they're not going to do their side work 100%.
All right. In my defense, I have to admit I work out of my car, so I carry all my tools in there, but I clean it weekly.
You're not a waiter. You're not applying for a waiter's job. If you go in for a waiter's job, let me ask you this. If you go in for a waiter's job and you've worked as a mechanic and you haven't gotten a manicure and cleaned that grease from around your fingernail.
No, I would definitely clean it myself.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised how many people don't.
But no, I started out doing food service job. Well, I started out as a bar back when I was like 16. Actually, I started working at a country club when I was like 13, 14. And then I started working, and that really got me to know the wealthier people in my town. And that got me into a lot of other side jobs. And then I went into the food service industry, the bar industry. And then I was like, oh, okay, construction is so much easier and I'm better at it. And so I never really went back to the food service industry after I had already had the messy car. So I guess I don't know if it counts. Two separate timelines.
Oh, aside from restaurants. God, I grew up in restaurant business. So when I went into the corporate world, I was kind of surprised because a lot of people just didn't do, there's old school and then there's the new method. Old school works. The new method doesn't. The new method does not work when it comes to service jobs.
Old school works in just about anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The trust and true way.
In some industries, though.
Yeah.
I feel like you should always be able to go back to what works if you don't know what you should be doing.
Well, I hope a lot of our people are able to have faith with what's about to be coming up. I don't know.
Oh, no, I think we're going to, I wish I had more faith in humanity. We've talked about this a lot, Mudrabbit. I just don't, I don't have as much faith. I think people are going to be divided like they are now.
There's always going to be people divided. I keep saying, I see the split happening right before us. And in the Bible, they call it the falling away. And I see so many people falling away. Where we go one, we go all might be good for the physical, but I don't think it applies to the spiritual. You'd have to have everybody on board.
I mean, I think we'll get at least half the population on board. I think as long as the media is still doing the things that they do, there's still going to be a divide wedged in front of everybody.
I have a feeling that when we get to this precipice, it's not going to be what people expect, and there's going to be a lot of people rediscovering their ability to pray.
Schmidt was making a joke at Terry. He said, "Do we need to make donations to buy Terry a light?" I assume
What?
that's a joke. And then Terry showed up, turned on his light just to show you. Well, I have a light. I just choose not to be using it.
Hello, Schmidt.
So I feel like he's going to be telling a scary story.
I don't know why my icon doesn't show in there. It shows here.
Yeah, I just peeked over and it wasn't showing.
No, it doesn't show in the channel. I don't know why. Anyway, I just think there's going to be a lot of, I think there will be a mass spiritual awakening when we get there, because people are going to be scared to death, but I wonder how well it will stick. You know, there's that joke about the guy who's stranded in the middle of the ocean and he's praying to God, God, help me get there. And then he sees a shark go by and he's like, oh, God, don't let the shark get me. God, please save me. Get me to the shore. And he keeps swimming. And as he's swimming, he keeps praying and he sees jellyfish and stingrays and all these things. And every time he sees something, he just prays to God, you know, please don't let me drown. Please let me make it. Well, shore, he begins to see a shoreline. He's like, God, just get me to the shoreline and I'll pray every day. And the closer he gets, his promises to God get smaller and smaller. It's like, oh, God, just get me to shore and I promise I'll never drink again. You know, and just, it's not what he was earnestly praying for while he thought he was going to die. But once he realizes he's not going to die and he gets to shore, he gets up, he walks away, and he forgets about God. And I see a lot of people doing that.
I think people are like that with
bargaining with God. That's what
yeah,
that was.
Exactly. It's a bargain. You don't bargain.
If you give me this, I'll do this.
Yeah.
Well, who are you making a contract with?
Call it, though. I think the bargaining that you call it, I think that's very similar to what we do with like proof or evidence of something as well. Like we set the bar as, okay, if I get a picture of an alien craft, then I'll believe you. And then somebody shows you a picture of an alien craft and they go, oh, okay, well, I need to know if it's ours or theirs, or if there's aliens inside of it, or if it's just a drone. Okay, so then you prove them the next step, and they're like, well, I got to meet them myself. I don't know if this is faked. Like,
no, you
the
don't.
The bar just keeps getting moved.
It does, and it gets moved every time there's a certain awareness that hits the populace. It's the same thing the scientists and the politicians do to us every time they move that bar, which ultimately is going to bring us where we need to be without them realizing they're doing it. I worry for my
punctuated equilibrium. You know, it's moving from VHS tape to DVD, or the VHS tape to Laserdisc, then to DVD. You know, you have all of these. You can see it in time where we take these leaps, and we just grow generationally as a whole society, both in knowledge and technology, and here we are now. And following politics, especially with what's going on now here within the past few years, going all the way back to, you know, I've been interested in since high school, and it's going so slow, but yet, as we just talked about, look at everything that's happened since that big announcement that just happened from you know who. You could fill up a whole year's worth of news in just what happened in the 24 hours now. What was it, last night that he made that announcement with?
And look at all the stuff that's coming through now.
Yeah. They didn't waste any time. Might as well get business done now.
Yeah. Well, they know their end is near. I mean, Nancy's gone. That's my big thing.
It's just fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, you mentioned equilibrium. I read something the other day. I think it was on Telegram. You know, the frequency of the Earth is 7.83 hertz.
And the Schumann resonance?
Yeah. And between 2020 and 2021, we reached 7.83 billion people.
I follow that. Yeah.
We
the
reached
human
parity.
resonance has changed. You can see that literally changed in the records there.
Okay, I'm going to drop a link in the chat. I want you guys at your leisure to go see this. Frank dropped it in his. Speaking of parity and harmony and all that good stuff, what was the guy's name? Jacob Collier? Mad Pug was there. He heard it. Even people have a resonance. This is what Frank was talking about, that even people have a resonance. And this guy tuned an entire audience without having to give them any music. He just did it by raising his arms or lowering his arms, kind of like a major theremin, but out of people. It was really interesting. I dropped the link in the channel.
I'll pull it up here in a second. I'm going to catch up with the chat. Canadian says vote red USA and vote blue in Canada.
Vote blue in oh, okay, yeah. Isn't it like that in Europe too? It's the colors are backwards.
I know Canadians got some interesting views of Trudeau. He goes pretty well. I mean, it's not really interesting to me.
Oh, he just got a wedgie from President Xi.
No, did he?
major wedgie. There's a video circulating on the web where he went to talk to his Chinese overlords, and the translator's telling him that what we talked about in our last conversation was leaked and that wasn't supposed to happen. They kind of dressed him down over it. And when they parted ways, he ran off the floor. He ran away to hide. It was amazing to watch. I just laughed. Yeah, Trudeau going to be a drag queen. It's circulating on Telegram. You can't miss it.
I'll have to check it out.
It's
my daughter's
fun.
into Telegram more than I am. I can't I don't know.
I'll
I
see
don't
if
really
I can
follow
find it.
She's better at Discord than me too.
I'll try to find it for you. It was funny. I had to watch it 3 times because it was just so funny. Is Terry back yet?
Oh, I don't know. He just popped out. I was gonna say Z has Castro for lunch with a egg roll.
With an Oh Lord. Okay, I found it.
So, who do you think the Democrats are going to try to put forward? Because I don't really know that Biden would.
Know.
To be honest,
it's kind of weird, isn't it? Everybody's so focused on blaming the Republicans. Yeah. Okay, let me double check this link before I drop it in there and make sure I have the right one.
How's it going, Zero?
Okay, for those of you who... Yeah, does he have Castro for lunch? Mad Pug says. This guy is holding it. Oh, I wish I could get a better link. But it was funny. He just ran away, and everybody, I think in Aaron's last night, was speculating why he was running away, and some of the answers were so funny. Oh. Is Terry still offline?
Yeah, he's just I don't know if he's muted. Yeah, he's muted in the background.
I wanted to get his thought on that resonance thing.
Oh, he's back. Ah.
Oh, okay. All right. Here we are.
Oh,
so what is this?
Talking about Trudeau in Canada.
Oh, that guy. Oh, well, heck, I'm going to go back to... No, really. I mean, they're just coming out of the woodwork now, aren't they? Just revealing themselves. And yeah, we know.
Yeah, well, isn't that biblical too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where's Michael when you need him? Holy moly.
So I was asking Canadian this the other day. Would it be a drag queen with blackface, or would it just be a regular drag queen, or what level would Trudeau take it to? I'm just kind of curious.
Nothing is sacred anymore. Is nothing sacred?
I just had a whole bunch of pictures of Trudeau flash through my mind in various costumes.
Shout out to Montreal and Toronto, Ontario. All right. Thanks, Eric. I've never been to Canada. I think it'd be close. I've been really close to the border, but never been up there. Definitely some beautiful places up there.
I have been to Canada twice. Went there for a DJ convention, and it was actually a world DJ convention. DJs from all over the world. This is in Waterloo, Kirchner, Ontario, Canada. So back in the late 90s, I think I attended. Yeah, fun time. Drove all the way up there and all the way back. It was a
when did they do that? Was that like years ago, or was that recent?
Yeah. What was that?
Was that like years ago, or was that kind of recent?
Years ago, back in the late 90s for me.
Okay.
Late 90s, 2000s, somewhere around there.
I was just curious because I used to be really big into DJs. Like there was a period in my life where that's all I really listened to is DJ'd music and mixed music. And I wonder, because I think there was a spike kind of on the media level of what was getting played on the radio, and it was mostly DJs at the time. And I wonder like when that kind of hype went away, but there's still some out there doing it that are still kind of big. But
yeah,
I was big into like Skrillex and stuff like that when I was younger. And I liked the electronic DJ music and dubstep and stuff like that. It's kind of the new wave of DJing.
You probably get B96 out of Chicago.
Yeah.
On your radio dial.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite stations anytime that I actually get to the Chicagoland area. Yeah.
So there's a DJ on there, DJ Flipside. DJ Flipside, I got to play at a bar locally. I got him booked, and one of the guys I go to school with got them set up at the bar I worked at the time. And yeah, he's a regular DJ on the radio station you just mentioned. He does the Flipside at 5.
Yeah. The drive home time, which is one of the most sought after and very lucrative for advertisers to be on.
Very true.
People pay, companies pay for the privilege of being on, having a commercial on during the drive home, because that's when people are listening.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's what,
by the way, Mudrabbit, Tucker Carlson actually used the word propaganda in one of his little speeches that he gave. Did you? Yeah. Things are getting real now, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for him to bring out the Smith-Mundt Act and mention that.
Did you guys see what Michael Moody put up? He said, y'all hear what Mike Pence
but what's his name appealed that? Obama repealed the Smith-Mundt Act, didn't he?
Does anything of what he says even matter at this point? I mean, Mike Pence is obviously not going to be Donald Trump's running mate for vice president. That should be very obvious to anyone. And he would get crushed in the primaries if he ran against him, and he knows that. He should know that. I mean, is he going to be a sacrificial lamb for doing so?
I think Michael Pence.
Breaking up.
Oh, sorry. Probably because I was chiming in too. It was probably cutting the audio out. Sorry. I was gonna say I think Michael
Go
Pence
ahead.
might run, but I think he's going to be like the Mitt Romney, the Republicans. He's just going to divide the diehard Republicans from the modern wave of Republicans, which is like the Trumpers. But I don't think he's
I
going to
don't
hold
know
that much
about
merit.
Pence. I don't think he's going to run with Trump.
Not with him.
Oh, of course not.
No, he's got a lot of people pissed at him.
But my
A lot of
question
people
though
are
is
upset
this:
with him.
would Mike Pence, in theory, take away the golf club Republicans? You know the
They're not. I have a feeling they're not going to matter. We've already got the House.
yeah.
It's what we're going to be able to do over the next 4 years right now. Or what is it, 2 years?
2 years.
Yeah. And they're already moving on it. I mean, immediately.
I got to tell you though, after listening to that speech and letting it sit for a little bit, I started getting those vibes of what John Teeter talked about. Let me bring him up. He talked about there being not one, but 5 presidents in the future of where he came, the 6th, I believe. And, with what's going on right now, with all indictments and investigations, and when things come down and people can't run for office because they did things that they shouldn't have, and do we even have political parties anymore? And with the elections over in Arizona, where she probably should have recused herself because of a obvious conflict of interest here.
Yeah, but that fight's not over
And it
yet.
should
This
be
fight isn't over.
this all should be blatantly obvious to everyone now, right? Right?
I mean, I think it should be.
It is.
I think
It
it
is
should be
blatantly
obvious.
obvious to everyone.
I think it should be, but I think the
It is
biggest
very
problem is
obvious, and that's
we've
why
had
they're
this
having such a
in.
hard time with it.
I think we've had this in media for so long, and like, I don't know, just Hollywood in general. I don't see it going away right away. I do think it slowly is, but like, look at all of these entertainers and everything else that have just committed such atrocities, and they don't even get a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
And they're still in the fame and fortune. And it's just like if
You got
you're
Kanye
famous,
out
you
there.
can keep pushing through.
You've got Kanye and you've got Dave Chappelle. Did you hear what Dave Chappelle did on Saturday Night Live?
No, what he did?
I watched it.
Yeah, but what he did
Dave
in the
Chappelle.
dress rehearsal was an approved script. And when they went live, he changed it up on them and said what he said. And that's why it was such a blockbuster. They weren't expecting that.
That part, I guarantee you, is just a legal department putting that out there as just putting of giving everyone plausible deniability of having absolutely nothing to do with Dave Chappelle. It's like the South Park effect. Like South Park can do whatever South Park wants to do because they're South Park. They get away with it.
Exactly.
And obviously he's going to be coming out there and saying controversial things, so they have to do the Caesar here, wash their hands of it. So what was it pre-approved and then they switched it? I'm not exactly buying it. They knew.
If you're going to have Dave
Chappelle,
because they know who they have. It's Dave Chappelle.
If you're going to have Dave Chappelle, you got to know he's going to do something like that.
Yeah, just knowing Dave Chappelle and his history, you have to understand that.
Yeah, it makes sense. Oh, I do. I'm a huge fan of his.
I know you do. But what I was like, when you think of Dave Chappelle, you go, "Oh, okay, he's also great at improv. He does crowd work. He does think of things on the fly. He's very much your Robin Williams type actor, where he's going to improvise. There's no way he's going to follow a script." Really and for the people at SNL not to know that was going to happen, and I mean, I think it's more of a sell that they're pushing it like, oh, he went off the script. It was a big mic drop, and
Yeah, it makes
we
sense.
didn't know it was coming.
Maybe they're trying to save face. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's interesting. It's coming out. It's
Canadian
almost
said
like a
Mike-
flood at this point.
Canadian said Mike
I'll
Pence
answer
said he
this
wasn't
one
going
on,
to testify on
he-
January 6th.
Yeah, I'll answer this one. He's not going to testify because they're not calling him to testify.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Why aren't they calling him? Because
Yeah,
they're
don't use
pointing
Google.
the finger at you know who.
Yeah. Do not use Google to find anything. Use dogpile.com or FreeSpoke. I put them in the channel. Google, I mean, did you see that, what was her from the woman who said that we own the science? She said they partnered with Google so that the correct information would come up at the top of the list.
I
Yeah,
did
right.
see that.
I
did
don't
see
trust
that.
Google.
Yeah.
Yeah, dogpile.com has been around forever. And FreeSpoke is the one that Dan Scavino put out there. It's a brand new search engine. Yeah,
I've
Mike
heard of
Pence
FreeSpoke.
knows what's up, and I'm not sure. Hello, Michael Moody. I'm not sure that Mike Pence is a bad guy either. I think Mike Pence is playing a game just like everybody else is.
Let's bring him up and have him testify. I just have one question. What was that coin that was handed to you when you certified the vote? What was that?
Yeah, I want to know too. I saw that. Ha, Biden for the nursing home.
I mean, hey, if it's an official challenge coin, you would show it off, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what
Well,
those are.
It's okay. It's okay. It's God's war. This is going to end just right. We just got to put up with it. And it is so damn frustrating.
Web crawler. I miss web crawler.
What's that?
Mad Bog was talking about web crawler, the original web crawler. That's when he saw
Yeah.
the file.
It was
Yep, that's it.
like it was Google. Google was Google. Yeah, it was the original search engine. Fun
Mhm.
times, man. Fun
I don't know
times.
what
Still
you
out
guys,
there.
but I was asking Jeeves.
Oh, what did I ask that with the ask.com?
Yeah, I got turned into ask.com.
Yeah. Now I use Dogpile a lot, and when I'm researching things political, I go over to FreeSpoke.
I use Bing and I use DuckDuckGo here and there. But
Well, you heard what happened with Joe Biden at this G20 in Bali. This meeting
No.
in Bali. He didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't attend. Yeah, he didn't attend the dinner, and it caused people to talk. And the whole point is the guy is suffering from dementia, and dementia patients begin to sundown in the afternoon. And sundowning is an effect it has on them. They slow. That's a term. Ask any nurse. It's called sundown.
No, I know exactly what you mean. There's horror
Yeah.
movies based on that.
Yeah, and in people
So
with
he's a
dementia,
vampire?
they get testy, they get agitated, they get short-tempered, they're tired. You know, these people got to turn in at 4:00 in the afternoon.
There's a movie I would recommend to everybody. It will give you a good idea of what sundowning is. There's a woman in it. It's called The Visit, and these are two mental patients that got out of the hospital, and I won't give the spoilers away, but they got out of the hospital, and one of them, the woman does, and she rips off her clothes every night and like scratches at doors and runs up and down the hallways, and it's a little intense. And I just pictured Joe Biden doing that as soon as you said it, and I couldn't stop laughing. My head
Right through
I'm
the
like,
G20.
it's funny thinking about it like a horror movie, but this is real life. That's even
Oh
weirder.
my God. We have to look at this and laugh. It's the only way to save our sanity. I mean, we were taught when you look at somebody's face when they're smiling, put your hand up and cover the bottom part of their face and tell me if their eyes are smiling. You know, a lot of people, Joe Biden, every time I get a close up of his picture, I put my hand over his mouth and his eyes are not smiling and they're empty. They're vacant.
Yeah, I think people learned how to do that a lot better too with the mass society that we've had recently. I could usually tell if people's eyes were smiling, like what kind of expression.
Well,
they
people
were
are
making.
starting to worry too. I mean, my dad started to worry.
Aren't there multiple Biden? Didn't we already establish this? Like, there's Biden now.
Well, there was
Like,
speculation that
multiples?
it was Jim Carrey, and then there was speculation it was somebody else, and then they had that incident with the guy in the parking lot that looked exactly like him and dressed in a business suit.
And is a total actor. Yeah, stunt double. Yeah.
So
And then there's just the theory that he's just full outright AI. You know, he's a cartoon generated by a computer.
I think a lot of what we see on TV might be CGI, but
Yeah.
I also think that white hats have their thumbs in the pie because he says things that you know damned well didn't come from the deep state or Obama in the basement, like when he said that the COVID thing was over. Now, I do realize dementia patients do stuff like that, but the white hats, knowing he has dementia and knowing how much control they have over everything, probably slip a few rogue commands in there. It sounds to me like this is exactly what's going on. Is every now and then one of the things he's told to do comes from a white hat and it totally screws with whatever the deep state had planned in that instant.
Yeah.
It's very subtle.
Asking about James Woods. Was that one other person they thought it was?
Oh, I love James Woods.
But yeah, when you said Jim Carrey, I immediately think of Fire Marshal Bill from In Living Color.
Yes.
When he played that old man, and that guy looks spot on. Like
when he smiles, he looks like Fire Marshal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I said that in a comment one night, and a bunch of people just went off.
Canadian said, "My name is Joe Biden. I'm running for United States Senate." No, Joe, you're running for president. Dang it.
And he's called Kamala the president.
Right.
Trump told us he's not there. He's shot.
Well, we were talking about. I would like to get both of you guys' input on what you guys think the Democratic Party is going to put forward, just in general, because I think it's going to be really. The one thing I can kind of bet on is there's going to be too many big names running on the Democratic side, and they're going to be divided, of course.
You think they'll try to run a woman? I don't think they dare put Hillary up there.
I think at least 3 women will run.
Yeah. It can't be Tulsi Gabbard because she left the Democratic Party.
I think she's going to run as an independent and wither away until we break up our 2-party system.
Yeah,
I think Michelle Obama might try a stab at it.
That is a question that I did have from the speech. Did he even say that Big T was running for the Republican Party specifically?
Yeah, they don't have anybody else.
Okay, so he did establish that.
Did not work. Okay. Yeah, DeSantis knows what's up. People don't understand. People do not understand. DeSantis knows what's up.
Oh yeah.
Remember when Q told us it's less than 10 and 3 are non-military?
Yeah.
He's military, DeSantis.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's in on it.
Yeah.
Didn't you say he was JAG?
Yeah, he's a JAG officer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or was before he was governor.
Yeah.
I don't like the term JAG officer.
It's a lawyer.
If it gets clipped.
Military lawyer for They had a television show called Jag on NBC back in what was it, the early 90s, I think. Yeah.
Well,
Now, see,
I
here's
always
my
remember that's
question.
the famous Tom Cruise one.
Isn't there a clause in the amendments where an attorney cannot run for president?
I don't know.
I'll have to look that up.
I don't think so.
Depth. There's something in there. There's something in the Constitution about not for certain offices that you run for. You can't have been an attorney or anybody, because attorneys are not stamped by here. They're stamped by the crown. They're Esquire. They always have Esquire after their name, and that's a title of the crown. And under the Constitution, you're not supposed to have titles.
I don't know if I've heard of that, because I feel like
I've heard it a lot.
Andrew Bashaga would have never ran, because he is a big constitutionalist with knowing the Constitution and his laws. I really don't think he would have tried to present himself forward if that was the case.
Well, he might not be Esquire. You do have constitutional lawyers who don't have the Esquire tag to their name.
So if I go buy a spot of land in Scotland and become a lord or a lady, can I no longer run?
It only applies over there.
Oh, okay. You can register it over here.
It's not real. They had that going in the Virgin Islands. There was this guy, Mike. He was a friend of ours. He bought some property in the islands right where he wanted to put a park, and they wouldn't let him put a park. And he bought the land, and they were expecting him to do something with it. So he parceled it off in 1-inch posts and sold them for $10 each. So you can own a square inch of St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands. And by virtue of that, it's a park. Nobody can develop on it.
I know they're doing it somewhere, and I don't know if it's Scotland or whatever, but there's a pretty big one that's been taken off lately. But at least they plant a tree in that spot. Like, at least they're foresting in that area.
Well, some of those things are also scams.
Oh, yeah.
Because some people actually travel to go see their plot and they can't find it.
Well, yeah.
Or they'll sell the same plot to like a dozen different people.
They're probably resold the same coordinates at least twice.
Exactly. There's one guy in California owns the same plot that some guy in New York does.
We have enough trouble with our government taking care of the plots on like grave sites that have been purchased, much less like a plot of land where nothing's going there.
Mm-hmm.
There's been some horrible things that happened in the Chicagoland area with like moving graves, and they're saying that they moved graves and just moving headstones, and there's been some pretty chaotic stuff happen.
Yeah. That can get intense, especially if the people in those graves still have living relatives.
Yeah. That's the only time they get complaints, I assume.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, the people that don't have somebody to vouch for them don't really go for it and pursue it.
Well, up there also you have all those woods in that wild area where there are old graveyards that have just become lost. Yeah. Trees have grown up, brush has grown around it, and people don't even know they're back there until they stumble across the toppled over tombstone. There's a whole bunch of guys on YouTube that find these things and take you on tours through them. They're like, some of these graveyards are like over 100 years old.
Yeah, I don't know if Terry deals with a lot of that, but they have a lot of those in my area, just family farmed ones. Yep. That for the longest time it was owned by one family, and then eventually somebody bought out the farm. And
I know of a couple of them not very far away, and not too many people know about them, and that's a good thing. Yeah, because they're family plots. They're out in the middle of nowhere. I'm a third generation living here on a family farm that I went mushroom hunting with my grandpa and my dad. And by mushrooms, I mean morel mushrooms. These aren't the poisonous ones or the hallucinogenic ones. No, these are they're a fine delicacy.
These are mushrooms, not shrooms.
Well,
Yeah.
let me just say, if you go mushroom hunting, if you happen to stumble across some of those, you don't necessarily leave them there.
Right.
You tap the
Yeah.
top, let the spores drop, and keep moving on.
Yeah. And there's one of our little spots that we knew of that when you go out, you go out into the forest and you find these morel mushrooms and you pick them up off the ground. And yeah, there's a couple of family cemetery plots that it was put into me. This is very important, even at a very young age. I am out there like 4, 5, 6 years old, being told, "Watch your step here. There's a cemetery here. You might fall in." That's not a joke. No, there's uneven
It's
ground
true.
here, and
Yep.
there's stones here. Watch for that. There's a plot here. Just know where the trees are, know where the stones are, because you're in a very thick forest, and it's also a cemetery. It's sacred ground, so watch out where you're going.
So just
Some of these
random
have just
thought
been
that kind
totally
of.
forgotten.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was that?
Some of them have just been totally forgotten. The towns have died and gone away.
Mhm.
The families
Mhm.
have grown and moved, and nobody really knows which one of their relatives are in there, and they just
Yeah.
get forgotten after a few generations, and then the forest grows up around all the gravestones.
Yeah,
I do get I do get the occasional family members that come by here, and they'll just knock on the door, and they'll ask me, "Hey, I'm family. This is who I am. Blah blah blah. I hear there's a cemetery over here. How to find it?" And I'll have a conversation with them, and I'll tell them how to get there, and what to watch out for. But yeah, it is one of those things where no one knows about it except for the family.
Yeah, exactly.
And the neighbors. Great, let's keep it that way. Yeah.
And when their kids grow up and they have kids, they'll get
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Stewards of the land here. That's all I am.
But that's only saying that the kids
in
actually
Kentucky,
have
they
that
put them
same
on the
idea.
road.
Yeah.
Where my uncle lived in Kentucky, they
Yeah.
put them on the road. As you drive by, you'll see the field, and there's all this grain growing, or strawberries or something. And then there's a little square plot cut out and fenced off right by the road. By the road, and it'll have little headstones on it for all the family, and it grows as the family puts more people there.
So I think there used to be, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but just talking about graves and watching where you walk, do you think it was an older custom to not walk across burial sites if you knew it was there, and that's kind of been just like shrugged off at this point? Because I feel like, I don't know, I feel uneasy walking over. Like if I knew I was walking over a gravesite, I would feel uneasy. I don't know if that's like
or if I used to sit on my grandfather's. My grandfather's buried in Kentucky, and the last time I was up there, I sat on his grave and had a conversation with him.
Okay, so to a stranger, I mean, like a stranger's burial site, not somebody.
No, I wouldn't walk over someone else's grave. But the problem with a lot of these headstones is these people just have these little square plaques in the ground. So you inevitably walk over somebody's grave because of those. But if they have a tombstone and it's set up like a proper grave, then I would not intentionally walk over it.
It would be nice if there were stepping stones, designated stepping stones, like here's your sidewalk.
Some of these places, all you have is just a little, it's probably 10 inches by 6 inches or 10 inches by 4 inches, and we'll have a little brass plate on the marble, and it's just stuck in the ground. So you don't know which way they're buried. This is a graveyard over here by my house. You just don't know which way they're buried.
They're facing east, so they can see the rising sun.
Not all of these, no.
That's a tradition.
We have a new guest in the chat by the name of Katrina. She was saying that you could feel something when you cross over them,
Some of them, yeah, I would agree. Some of them definitely, but not
even
all
if they're
of
not,
them.
marked. I'm assuming.
Yeah. I used to like to go to old graveyards and do stone rubbings on some of the older ones from the 1800s. And
Yeah.
there was the one in Kentucky that's behind my grandfather now. He's buried facing one way, and it's like his and her head are together, and she's facing the other way in the other row. And she's got this big angel on her grave, and she was 19 years old when she died. In, I think it was 1876. And every time I would go up there to see my grandfather's grave when I was younger, I always felt drawn to hers. For some reason, I always had to go over there and just stand there in front of that angel and look at it and just take it all in, maybe do a stone rubbing. But she's right. There's some of them you do feel something. Not all of them, but that one definitely I felt something.
CM was saying, I know a cemetery in Kentucky that the headstones are now nowhere near the actual graves anymore. Yeah, they get moved a lot.
That happens.
And it's weird that they're saying that they're relocating a cemetery when they're not actually relocating the cemetery. Just
the headstones.
Yeah.
Well,
Just
Pop's going to be in a
it.
field somewhere under a house.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's probably the majority of where people are buried. Unmarked stuff, or when it was marked, it was by something so temporary that you wouldn't be able to find it today.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah.
That's total disrespect. Now, on my grandfather's side, everybody got buried, but on my grandmother's side and my mom and what my plan, we do cremation. It's just no sense, I worked for Woodlawn Cemetery one summer. Oh my God. I did phone sales for graveyards. And it's just, I don't know. It's just a waste of land. I mean, I'm intrigued by them. I like to go to them. I like to do the stone rubbings. But when you look at some of these places, how much land they take up, it's why? I'd probably just prefer to be cremated. Now they have that liquid. I don't know. I'm not going to go into that. But there's different ways to take care of yourself after you're gone where you don't have to take up space.
Well, I mean, I know people that are cremated and still want to have a headstone just for somebody, like for family and friends to be able to visit in the future. I mean, I always thought it would be cool if Facebook or something, people did something like that where if they found out a member of Facebook passed away, people would be able to send like well wishes and stuff, and it would almost be like a memorial on the internet as well.
We had a memorial for my mom on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still up. It's probably, if it is, it would be on her page. She had a lot of friends and a lot of business associates that she kept in touch with through Facebook. So we did a little memorial thing on her page.
Yeah, Katrina, sadly, it sounds like that happens a lot. She said, now I pray that the body's in the ground. Now I live here in St. Louis, Missouri. They had people taking the bodies out of the ground. Who the hell does that? Yeah, sadly, it happens all over the place.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's actually done by the cemetery and they get offered so much money to move. Sometimes they do it properly. Sometimes they don't do it properly. I don't think there's a proper way of digging people up out of the ground and evicting them from where they were at for, something they established while they were alive, I'm assuming.
Well, hopefully they're in caskets.
I mean, either way, like, if I purchased a spot of land when I was alive, and then somebody sold the land that I purchased after I was dead,
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, okay, What is going on here? Did I really sign up for that as well, to be moved? And
well, it's like that 1 square foot of, that's like that 1 square foot of Scotland, or that 1 square inch of St. Thomas. Well, in St. Thomas, I know that one's definitely a park, but we don't know. I mean, people take things that were once an honest thing to do, or a novel thing to do, and they've turned them into scams. So you just don't know.
One question for Katrina. When was the last time you've been to Ted Drew's and got some ice cream there?
Who's the question for?
The question is for Katrina. When's the last time you've been to a Ted Drew's and got some ice cream? Or able?
Oh, does she live near you?
Interstate control. Yeah, she said that she lived in St. Louis, Missouri. That's not too far away from me. And Ted Drew's is a very famous frozen custard ice cream stand. Goes back to the days of the original Route 66. And it's at last week. Awesome. It's delicious. What flavor? And the thing is about Ted Drew's is they have the concrete, which other people have probably been to a Dairy Queen and the Blizzard. It's at the very least rumored that Dairy Queen stole the formula for the Blizzard from Ted Drew's. And really, if you've ever been to St. Louis, Missouri and had Ted Drew's, had their concrete, there is no comparison. It is so good. Oh my goodness. So, Jacob, you should totally get Ted Drew's as a sponsor of the show.
I would have to go up there and try it. I stayed in St. Elmo, which is actually right outside of St. Louis. I stayed there for almost a year with my grandparents, and
wow!
I think it's a pretty historic place. I don't think it's based on St. Elmo's fire, but it's a really, really tiny town. And because I went to a wrestling tournament.
Illinois.
Yeah, St. Elmo, Illinois.
Dude, that isn't very far away from where I'm at right now.
Yeah, no, I used to stay there. I could show you my house. It's still up, the house that I stayed in over there. I had a weird nickname down there. I didn't like it. Yeah. It was an awkward place.
Well, I went through St. Elmo on my way to Vandalia here. I told you that I drove all around the full when I checked in with you the other day from Vandalia to Springfield and Springfield to back. Strawberry. The strawberry concrete, that sounds so delicious. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I'll have to try it out next time I'm out there. I got some friends out in St. Elmo that I got to catch up with sometime.
I love the Reese's peanut butter up there. Yeah, definitely. I mean, St. Elmo is very close to my home. Yeah.
It's interesting. No, I didn't know you were in that area. I knew you were in Southern Illinois, but I didn't know much about it.
Yeah.
How close am I to the Wisconsin line? I don't know, like an hour, maybe less. It depends on the route you take. It could be up to an hour and a half, or it could be probably as low as 45 minutes. Depends on the route. What up, Girth Brooks? Nice to see you lurking. Girth Brooks, a.k.a. Mother Teresa. Nice to have you. It's a long story.
I haven't seen Girth in a long time.
What was that?
I haven't seen Girth in a long time.
Yeah. He's not always in that identity. Sometimes he's elsewhere.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
That's cool, Katrina, that they do DoorDash and they'll bring it to you now. It's even better. You got to have a nice ice cream place that delivers.
I live next door to Jackson, so I don't worry about it. They've got the best ice cream. It's expensive as hell, but it's really good.
It makes me think of like what is it? Roscoe? No, it starts with an R. I think it's like Roscoe area in Wisconsin. Because I have family that live like right over the border too, and yeah, so I know that area pretty well. And I usually drive through there when I go camping. I go usually up to Michigan, right across the Michigan border. So I know Wisconsin decently.
Is that near Racine, Wisconsin?
Yeah, Racine. That's the R one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
That's where I have some family in Racine.
Nice. Been up to Racine a few times myself. Or guess what? Another DJ convention. This time it's more locally, more regionally than the World Expo that they had up in Ontario.
I didn't know that, Katrina.
Schnucks had it.
I got to check that out because I got a Schnucks in my town. I might have to check that out. What was the name of it? The ice cream?
Ted Drew's Ice Cream. Here, hang on. I'll send you a link to the website.
Okay.
Or if you want to share it, hang on.
And Katrina says, "Happy Thanksgiving to everybody." Ted Drew.
And there you go. I just sent
Got
Facebook message. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Gratitude Day.
I'm going to be cooking for 2 days.
Sweet.
Kids
I'll
want
come
ham
over.
this year. We're having ham and turkey.
Sweet. And all the trimmings and fixings and the goodness. Awesome. Mm-hmm.
And apple crumb pie.
Oh, I didn't have any guests set up to pop in the background, but I figure I'll pitch this to you guys. Brett from Brett's Worship channel just popped in the background if you guys would like him to join us. I didn't know how much longer you guys had on or not. I figured I'd pitch it to you guys.
I'm here all night.
I'm good.
Okay. Welcome, Brett.
Hi, Brett.
Right?
Brett?
How you
Doing
been,
any
man?
crochet lately?
I have not crocheted.
Uh,
Been too busy with my job.
well, that happens.
Just hanging out just tonight?
Yeah.
So what's been going on? What's been going on over your channel? I haven't seen you on lately. I've seen you. You were raising money recently. I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
How did that go?
He's still homeless. We didn't raise enough money.
Oh, I didn't know if he would. I thought it was for a trip to go somewhere. Oh, okay. I thought it was something else.
To help a friend out. So.
Well, that's sorry. I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully you were able to help him a little bit at least.
And he said he's given up on life. So.
Oh, well, that's really bad to hear. Well, I mean, are you there still supporting him and talking to him as much as possible?
Yeah.
Well, our prayers are with him, man. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that when you came on. I didn't know that's what's been going on. I apologize. Hopefully all of us can pray for him and, the best we can.
Yeah, he said he would send my money back to me. All the money I sent for him to get a bus ticket and everything, and he's giving up on life.
Oh, that's sad.
So
I'm really sorry to hear that. Yeah, especially when you said he's sending the money back. It sounds like he really doesn't want help anymore.
So I'm not helping him until he says help me again. So
Sounds like you're being very generous. I mean, it's really nice of you to at least try to do what you're doing.
he didn't send money back. I
Well,
have
he's
$0
using
and
it to
0
help
cents
him
in my
then.
PayPal. So
Well, that's good. Maybe he's using it to help himself then.
I thought he was gonna send it all back.
But yeah, we've just been talking about randomness tonight. We were talking about politics. We were actually just talking about um, like the historical burial sites in our area, like different. Me and Terry live in like smaller areas, and we were talking about like the local family cemetery that's been there forever that a lot of people don't even know is in their town, and we were talking about a bunch of randomness tonight.
Yeah, stream of conscious talk.
What's that?
Stream of conscious talk.
Oh yeah.
I went to get some blood drawn today, and now I've got a egg on my arm. I can't bend it. I can't straighten it.
They probably hit a vessel. You know
They
what I'm talking
did,
about?
and they
I'm
took a
gonna
lot
say
of
like
blood.
hematomas
So
or whatever they're called.
yeah, it left a keloid.
Oh, yeah. I stopped donating plasma because the nurses in my area weren't good at doing that, and I have a stacked vein on my left arm, so
Ouch.
they basically every time they go to draw blood, they kind of sew them together.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And he said he would stop eating and drinking.
Well, I mean, you can't don't let that bring you down. You can't really control what
I know.
you know. I feel like if anybody would take the time to tell you that, they're trying to make you feel a type of way.
Yeah.
Because if it was really something they were going to pursue, they wouldn't tell people about it.
Yeah.
So don't let that drag you down, especially for you just doing nice things. Was I paddled, if it's okay to ask? No, I was never paddled. That's an interesting question. I mean,
You were
I
never spanked?
I was spanked. I wasn't paddled. And my dad wouldn't use a belt. Like I had family members.
I think he's talking about your canoe.
Like kayaking, like you paddle
Where
a
do you
kayak,
paddle?
paddle a
If that's
boat.
okay to ask. Oh, okay. I
Oh
read that
my
wrong.
goodness.
Like paddled. I'm like, this is a weird question. Okay. When I go up to Michigan, I go to Sylvania. Oh yeah, he sent it again. Where do you paddle? Okay, sorry, my bad. I wasn't reading that correctly. But then around here, I do the Rock River, the Kishwaukee River, Fox River. There's a few rivers in my area that we have one of the only rivers that runs north, so I can take it north and then back south. That ties into other rivers. It's fun. LOL, I'm not like that. Well, that's good to know. I did think that was quite the strange question. Weird that my mind went there when I read it.
That's funny.
Oh, you had to mute because you're laughing.
I was gonna say, gee, Jacob, maybe that's your problem. You've never been spanked.
I mean,
Spanked.
that tells you what's on my mind. Apparently, I need to get spanking.
Oh, that was funny.
Thank you, Schmidt. I try my best.
Yeah, we know Jacob's a good guy.
Whenever he does that, I know he's doing it in Jacob Hudson voice. And
Yeah, I know.
that's a Jake Hudson catchphrase. And I immediately read it like that. So
Yep, I will from
We had
now on
fun on
too.
the Jake Hudson show last night.
We had a blast. Yeah, Schmidt was
Yeah.
there. He was asking some good questions about.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, Jake has such a knowledge of classic wrestling and indie wrestling that I can't even compare to. So it's nice
Yeah.
to see you two in the same room doing that.
Wealth of knowledge. He was mentioning names of blasts from the past and just jogging my memory. And what a fun time that was. Yeah, Jake Hudson on the right here on YouTube.
Yes, he's probably live right now, to be honest.
He's
Yeah.
just
So
got a
I
file in his head where he puts all that information.
yeah, I don't know how he files it away.
Right.
And it immediately comes to him. He knows, and he's got full names and bios about everybody. And that's why I'll ask, like, if he brings up a name, I'll be like, tell me who that is. And he'll, oh, okay, this is what they did. This is their career. This is the organizations they were with. I'm like, okay, he has a vast of knowledge when it comes to wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people are just savants that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He used to have a
Mad
little
Dog.
boy that lived next door to me. He was 14 when they moved, but he was he was autistic, and he could cite all the football scores and all the football players. He was just so into football, and
Interesting.
he was that way with football and football history and football scores and schedules. And it's amazing what these people remember. Oh my God, I have trouble with my grocery list.
I'm okay with it about music when I can like tie it into another sense, but for like entertainment, I have trouble doing it. I can't store it away that same way, like movies or television. I can't store that away the same way. But
Some
yeah,
people
Mad
are
Dog, I
good
didn't
that
know
way.
you were close to the Rock River as well. Nice. Yeah, it
Well,
runs
that'd be
pretty
funny
far.
if you two ran into each other kayaking.
Well, if he's on the Wisconsin side, I don't ever go that high, but I usually go about probably 60 miles away from the border from where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long trip, but I don't go that high. It gets a lot wider up there. It's more like if you've seen any of my kayaking videos that I post, it's a lot smaller in my area, and then it opens up to the Big Rock River.
Jacob,
So you
let
never
me
got
ask you
an
this.
answer.
Jacob,
Yeah.
let me ask you this about where you paddle it. Since you mentioned St. Elmo, are you familiar with the Kaskaskia River?
No, I didn't have my kayaks then, and I didn't get to experience the water as much out in St. Elmo. Where I was at, it was just flat. We went four-wheeling a few times. A lot of four-wheelers and three-wheelers and motorcycles and stuff.
It's
And
definitely
it was
wide
very much
enough
small
for you to
town where it
kayak
was like,
down.
what was that?
Yeah, I said that it's definitely wide enough for you to kayak down. Every summer I see people paddling down with kayaks or canoes or small paddle boat, whatever. Yeah, I know of some good drop off points where groups will be dropped off here. Take your canoes, go down that way. I'll see you in tonight or whatever, and pick you up. At the rendezvous point or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even in my area, like we have, it's seasonal. What areas you can hit, like I can go a lot farther south in my area and start down there and kind of finish in my town if I wanted to. But in the summer, I don't know if it's just over time, but yeah, we're losing a lot of our water and our waterways. But I used to there's some really cool times where I wish I had footage of it where it flooded and you got the kayak like all the way up to the roads and stuff like that. Places that you would normally be walking, like there's a frisbee golf course that's attached to a river in my area, and the whole frisbee golf course flooded. So it was me and all my cousins in their kayaks. We were playing frisbee golf out of our kayaks, like paddling across the course instead of. Yeah, it was a riot.
How awesome. Yeah. Like a 50-year
It was actually
flood,
right in the
and what a
beginning of
neat
COVID.
opportunity.
The people in the paper came out and took a picture of us because it was right in the beginning of COVID, and we were in our kayaks, and I remember yelling across to the guy that was taking a picture. I was like, "We're social distancing," and then my cousin
Yeah.
put his mask on,
Yeah.
and it was just a riot.
That's just great. Yeah. Gotta have some fun somehow. Yeah.
That's like with Safe Cybersex. You put a sheet of saran wrap over your keyboard.
Oh,
Oh,
I bet whoever repairs your keyboard appreciates it. Indiana, Jake Schmidt said, "Don't forget Terry. We have to do a George Van Tassel show.
yeah.
The UFO show, I think."
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be good.
Talk about the Integratron. Yeah.
Hello, Pacquiao. Thank you for stopping in. Nice to see you.
And we're just talking about the
Appreciate you
Philippines
watching in the
earlier.
Philippines.
Yeah.
We were just talking about how crazy it is to reach offline.
Yeah.
We were talking about how many different people can actually reach each other. It's cool to see you.
Well, it's no longer
Yeah.
6 degrees of separation. It's a lot closer.
Ooh.
It was a lot more fun, though, before Facebook. I'm just old school. I used to go into Merck, and I made friends all over the world that I'm still in touch with. And you don't have the same type of community in a setup like Facebook or Twitter or anything like that where everybody can see. When you've got a room with rules in a place like that, it's kind of like the chat here. You know, you can meet more people, you can do more things.
Mm-hmm.
I never really liked Facebook. I never really liked Twitter.
I mean,
Didn't
I think
want
they
the bells
both
and
have.
whistles.
I think Facebook has its advantages because I do think YouTube turns a little more into the wild, wild west. Sometimes anybody can make an account. Anybody can, like the other day, we were dealing with somebody making. They were giving out information that I didn't know enough about that person to know it was private information. And like same with you, you couldn't see the picture. We didn't know that those people should be blocked, kind of thing. And it's like,
Right.
oh, they were actually involved in the conversation, and they were actually adding to what we were talking about, but they were doing it on a troll account. Like, it was so weird. And
Yeah, well, see, that was
at
the
least on
nice thing
Facebook,
about
you can
chat.
kind of reference it a little bit.
Well, the nice thing in Merck was they couldn't do that. You didn't have picture icons. If you wanted to do something, you had to write your own script. If you wanted to throw a sound in, you had to type out your own wave. It wasn't where just anybody could come in and wreak havoc. Facebook and Twitter have kind of let those walls down where you have all that control. You don't have that control anymore. Facebook, you have it to a certain point. But on Twitter, everybody sees your comments and they get shared over a bunch of people. And then before you know it, you've got trolls attacking you and you have no idea who these people are.
Yeah.
In Merck, you had an opportunity to ban them and keep the peace in the channel.
But can they make a new channel the same way they can on YouTube?
No, it banned them via their IP.
Oh.
It didn't ban them
So even with
via
a
their
VPN,
name.
you couldn't do it?
Huh?
Even with a VPN, you couldn't do it?
We didn't have VPNs back then.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, like, yeah, well, I mean, back in the day, I guess it was easier because it wasn't,
Yeah.
I mean.
You ban somebody and it bans their IP. And then some of us, I got this from one of the developers who made rooms for things like that. He had written a script for a kick ban that kicked him all the way out of Downnet. And I still have that script written down somewhere. And he told me not to give it to anybody, just use it in very extreme cases. But some of us had these scripts where you could kick a person completely off of Downnet and they couldn't get back on unless they changed their IP. So you had more control over it. And you didn't have people who could pop up porn pictures because you didn't do pictures in these chats. It's kind of
Could
like the
you
chat here
cite-
with just chat. Huh?
I just have a question here for Mad Pogue. Could you cite what exactly is an interest-based forum site? Have a couple of examples that it could see. Like, is this something that you make money from? What's
It's
going on
chat
here?
rooms. It's chat rooms where everybody has the same interest.
Well, yeah, I think it's an orchestrated one because, like,
Okay.
even at when Mudrabbit was just referring to the platform she was talking
Yeah.
about, it was still the Wild West of that. It was like, oh, okay, go into an AOL chat room where everybody's asking you your age, your sex, and your gender.
I was
ASL,
on
yeah.
AOL.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that
I
was
was
the Wild
on
West
the
of it.
internet during Blood Days, so yeah.
Yeah, you come into Cool Breeze with ASL and you're getting your butt kicked out of the room. But that was the nice thing about that. You had control. You could get rid of these people and you could make other people moderators. And then you had, just different things you could do to keep control of a room.
Yeah, Schmidt just pointed something out. So this was going on in the background last night when we were. Well, it didn't happen last night when we were doing our show, Terry, but everybody wanted to talk about it last night. Somebody came in with Jake Hudson's name and sent a bunch of pizzas to some radio show. And I knew Jake didn't do it. Like, and he came on and did kind of an honest, like, clearing his name. He was like, you know what, dude, I wish I had the money to send them a bunch of pizzas. Like, he goes, I really like that show. He's like, I watch them all the time. He's like, I can't even talk in the chat because they blocked me, but he goes, I still listen all the time. And yeah, I'd love to send them pizza. Like, it was such a genuine answer. I was like, yeah, I don't think he's, trying to dox people, but people are not dox people, but
Yeah.
These are people who have nothing better to do with their time. They probably don't even have a decent job. I just don't understand why some people would want to intentionally torment a total stranger. You don't know what those people are, what they're going through. It's just cruel.
Because they have more money than brains. That's simple.
Well, it speaks to their soul level too.
Yeah. Right.
I don't like bullies. Can you tell?
Yeah.
I think you thrive. I think you thrive on them though a little bit.
No.
You know your
No,
capabilities.
let's put it this way. I'm not a bully.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Yeah.
But you come at me with that shit, and I'm going to go right back at you. I've been online too damn long to let that shit get to me.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're actually, like, I don't think Steel Toe actually got swatted from that Jake thing. I thought it was pizza related. I didn't think they were actually, like, because if people are actually sending the SWAT team to people's houses, like, that's really messed up.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
Well, like I said, it speaks to their soul level and how much they're going to burn when this is over.
Not to mention a waste of taxpayer resources. Go after that.
Exactly.
Go after that. When you waste the taxpayers' resources, you go after that. Get justice on that.
What? Who said?
I like what Elon's doing.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was actually just going to jump on that next. Canadian said Twitter's going down now thanks to Musk, and I was just thinking, well, no, I think it's going to be reborn. To be honest,
No, it's going to be
you think
better
he's
than
just
it
trying
was
to run it
before.
into the ground?
You have no idea what Twitter was. Twitter was a government-funded propaganda.
Well, yeah, no, with a bunch of bots, and it was really toxic. But what I was saying is, do you think Elon's trying to fix it, or do you think he's trying to run it into the ground?
Oh, he's trying to fix it. He's on the Trump team.
Yeah, so I think it'll be reborn into something better.
Yeah, Trump has Truth Social. Elon has Twitter. Kanye has Parler. These are all white hats. If Twitter goes bankrupt, which he did mention, I saw it in the tweets today, but I don't know when he dropped it. He informed
it's not going to go bankrupt.
No, but he informed that there's the possibility of it. And he gave the employees a deadline to either choose to stay and work your asses off and dedicate yourselves to your job or quit before this time. And you'll get a 3-month severance.
That was a test.
Well, they
Yeah,
left.
yeah.
3,700 of them
test.
left.
It,
These people are no
yeah.
good. These people are no good.
Oh, yeah. It's a shit test.
Yeah.
And the
You
fact
want
that
to take
they
the money
left,
and run because you think this is going to go to shit, or
and
do you think this is something worth?
the engineers left,
Right.
and they said on their way out the door that they couldn't run Twitter without him. And look, Twitter's still up. It's still
Here
up
we
and
are.
running.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, nothing they ever say is going to happen. They say it because
The question,
they wanna,
though, the question, though, then that I have is how long have they, being the White Hats, actually had it? And how long have we been just going through the motions?
No, they got it when Elon got it, and I have a feeling if it does go bankrupt, there's Twitter and Parler to help it out.
I think when Jack Dorsey sold it, I think that's when it changed.
Okay.
It was created to be a propaganda center. It's always been funded by the government.
Oh no, I do think it was created to be a propaganda thing, but I think it was bought to be a propaganda thing. I don't think
Dorsey
people
was
created it.
placed. Dorsey was placed in the
Oh,
same
yeah.
way that Zuckerberg was
yeah.
placed. And they had to pay Tom off big
Puppet.
bucks to get MySpace away from him.
But you knew the government
Puppet
couldn't create it
figurehead.
themselves.
That's what a figurehead is. And,
Yeah.
and Elon Musk, by argument, is simply a figurehead.
Yeah, but no, Elon
role.
Musk is the out and out owner. We're
But-
told Zuckerberg is the owner, but he's not.
And that's
Come
the
on, there's a
thing,
bunch of
as
people.
if he's just sitting there in his little desk on his phone, sending out all of these little tweets on his own by himself.
Oh,
Come on.
Chase!
Yeah,
Chase is
we all
here.
gotta stop and say hi to
Come on.
Chase. Terry tried to get it in there, but I was on a rant. We all gotta stop and say hi to Chase. It's nice to see you.
Chase, I missed you,
Chase.
girl.
Woohoo.
Where
And
you
our
been?
fourth panelist is Brett from Brett's Worship channel. She was like, I don't know who the fourth panelist is, so I thought I would identify you.
Yeah, Mad Poke says they were both created to mine your information. Exactly. Facebook was created by DARPA.
But I think they've been manipulated to do that now. I think they were really created by these other people, and the government doesn't have the knowledge to actually create something successful like that. So they buy it from people once it's already created, and
Yeah, they
run it
get
into the
the
ground.
platform from them. But what
Yeah.
really bugs me is when you went in the old days of chat, when you went online, the first rule of etiquette was remain anonymous. Don't give them your name. Don't show them pictures of your kids. Don't do any of that. You go in with a moniker, and that's what you are. You're that moniker. These people, as soon as Facebook was made, I resisted it for the longest time. And my girlfriends, my circle of friends kept bugging me to get on there. And as soon as I got on there, they wanted this information. They wanted that information. They wanted my name. They wanted my birth date. They wanted everything. And I was like, no friggin' way. So when I had some problems with Facebook, I got locked out of my account and I couldn't get back in. And this was in 2015. And I was trying to get back in because I was communicating. I had just met my half sister, and we were communicating through the message there. And they locked up my Facebook. And it must have been something I said in the private chat because I hadn't been using the public part since Mom, got sick, because I was really busy taking her to chemo and taking care of my brother and all that. So I got locked out, and they would not let me back in until I showed them a copy of my a valid ID, such as a driver's license. And it really pissed me off because I never gave them my real last name, and I didn't want them to have my real last name. And when I opened the account, I bought a $10 throwaway phone to do it. So they didn't have my phone number. But it was a pain in the butt getting back in there without having to give them my last name. So I taped over my last name and just showed them my first and my middle. And for some reason, they accepted it and they let me back in. And God, there was something else that happened on there. Oh, I was one of those people that they did the negative stuff to. They did an experiment on a select group of their people where all they allowed to show on their feed was negative comments as an experiment to see how it affected the people. And I remember complaining bitterly on my feed and then writing a letter to Facebook and complaining to them, and then it stopped. But for about 3 months, that's all I got was negative stuff on my feed.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
So
and it worked for a lot of people in Mudrabbit. That's the engagement that they were looking
it
for.
only served to piss me off.
True.
Because at that point,
it
I
was
had a big,
supposed to piss people off.
yeah. Well, at that point, I knew this was not my family. They were picking people like people I worked with who happened to be on my Facebook that I hadn't talked to in forever, but they just happened to be on my friends list. And all of a sudden, their negative bullshit was popping up instead of my family stuff, which was a more positive thing to be reading.
Yeah.
So
And I
I
think
knew
that's
what
why
was going
everybody
on.
created Facebook accounts, was to be connected with friends and family. Like, don't get me wrong, Facebook
You could do
suggests
that in
people
Merck.
all the time for me that are local people that we have like 57, friends in common. But there's a reason that we aren't friends. Like, it's not that we don't know each other. Like, thank you for the suggestion, book, but we're not going to get together because you suggested it.
No, I mean, once I get to know people, I'm comfortable with them, then it's cool.
Yeah.
But because I've made a lot of friends through Merck. But the one thing that taught me the biggest lesson was even before Facebook happened. I had a couple of things happen with my computer that everybody kept telling me doesn't happen. It's just no way possible. I was on Merck in a private chat. They're called DCCs, direct client to client, talking about my brother-in-law to somebody. And at the time, my brother-in-law was, I told you before, was General Khalil Matar of the Lebanese army.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, at that time, I think for almost 10 years, he was a prisoner of war with the Syrians. And I was trying to get Amnesty International's attention to see what we could do to get him freed. They had him under a house arrest in an apartment that wasn't his. But I was talking about it in a private DM with a friend of mine, telling her everything I was going through, writing to Amnesty International and doing, my letters and my campaign, trying to get attention to what was going on with him. And they cut off my chat. My chat dropped. So I went back in and got in the chat, and we resumed the conversation. And like a minute in, it dropped again. And then it got to the point where they would not let me chat with this person at all. And then a week later, and I'm still new to computers, this is 1996, I get an email. And I look at the email. There's nothing in it. There's nothing in the address. There's nothing in the subject. You don't see who it's from. The thing is blank from beginning to end. And I thought, that's weird. And damn it, I clicked on it. And I sat there and watched my computer in a matter of 30 seconds. Everything on the screen just go. My hard drive. Everything was gone. And when I kept trying to tell people what was happening to my computer, everybody kept, oh, that's impossible. That's impossible. That doesn't happen. There had to be something in the email. No, there was nothing in the email.
Executable file that's very possible it did happen. Yeah, I believe you, Mudrabbit.
Right,
but I this totally was believe you.
Completely white. There was you couldn't see who the email was from. Well, I had a friend that used to work with, he used to build computers, and when he looked at my computer, he understood what had happened, and he said, yeah, he'd seen that before, and he says, they don't know where it comes from. He says the last thing that they knew anybody had anything to do with that type of stuff was the U.S. Navy. And then I started putting two and two together. Okay, I was discussing in a private chat about my brother-in-law, Khalil, with a friend overseas, and they wouldn't let me complete this conversation. And then they send me this email. So I never trusted Facebook. I never trusted anything. I never trusted anything that had scripts. And Facebook is loaded with scripts.
I wanna go back to what
they see what you're doing. They're listening to us right now. They know everything that goes on, everything you type, everything you do. Doesn't matter the time of day, somebody's looking.
I want to go back to what Mad Pog was saying, because I think this is
Yeah.
tied into what we're talking about. In '96, like you were talking about, is when this happened to you. That's when they started releasing these things where you could wipe your computer with really powerful magnets, and they'd give you these devices that you could make or construct yourself or buy, where you could wipe your computer before anybody was able to get to it. And I remember when they started doing that. So I know they've been monitoring this information forever, but I think this is very much the generational idea of
Mhm.
we rebel from our parents and so on and so forth. Like the next generation always rebels from the ones before. And Madbach was saying the first rule was remain anonymous. The second rule was the anonymity of others.
Of others,
But
exactly.
I think that's where we went. Is doxing people is the
Mm-hmm.
new the way of breaking the social construct
Yeah.
of what the internet is and what it's supposed to be.
Right.
They
When it
want it to
was,
be
yeah, back when
wild
it
like
was the
that.
way it was, back in the day, they couldn't dox you as easily.
Yeah.
You had to give them the information for them to do it.
But they still had the information. They were still collecting all that information then.
Well,
We just made it more of a profit margin off of it now.
yeah, I'm pretty sure military and all of them were always able to do it. I mean, look what happened with any time I talked about my brother-in-law, I couldn't do it. But now any old guy can get in there and do it with everything that's available. And people are so open and honest. They put everything about their life out there on Facebook. I mean, it's ridiculous. You don't go in there. I mean, here I was freaking out telling my girlfriend, kept putting me on there. And I'm going, no, don't go on Facebook. Don't go on Facebook. When I finally got on Facebook and I saw all the things they were asking me, I purposely either did not answer, did not fill out, or gave a wrong answer.
I always think it's ironic how many people click that checkbox to get all of
Yeah.
these social media things and don't read any of the fine print. And then
Yeah,
they'll
they all just
post.
said click, click. Oh, this is my brother. This is my cousin. This is my aunt. This is my uncle.
Yeah.
This is where I work. This is what I do.
Well, it's that, and it's they'll post like pictures that they took in their real life, and I'm like, do you really think you own those pictures that you posted on somebody else's platform?
Oh no, when you post it on Facebook, they own it.
Yeah, you
And
checked
I
that
keep
box a
telling
long time
people,
ago.
people
It's
keep
part of the free
posting,
perks.
people keep posting pictures of their children online, and I keep telling them, do not post pictures of your children online, because it's a giant shopping center for sickos. They know where that kid is. They know where to find him. They know which IP posted the picture. They can get the data and coordinate where in the earth that child is. And if that's what somebody wants, that's what they got.
Oh, Schmidt, that's an interesting one. He said Kroger and Walmart revealed not long ago that they are in the business of selling information, and they make
Yeah,
just as much money off of that as selling goods.
absolutely.
Well, and it knows what, I mean, that helps them know what to carry in their stores by the demographic of the people that are around the store. It
Mm-hmm.
makes them decide if they want to put a new store in the area. It
And
makes
if you're
them like,
carrying your iPhone with you when you do go shopping, there are apps in there that are picking up where you're at, what you're looking at, what you bought. This is why I don't carry my iPhone on me.
yeah. Yeah,
Did
it's
you
all
know it
tracked.
takes pictures of you every 3 seconds in infrared? If you have an iPhone and you don't have tape over the front lens and the back lens, it's taking pictures in infrared every 3 seconds. There's a video on YouTube of a husband-wife team that discovered it and put the video out there. Every 3 seconds, it's snapping pictures of you. How many people take their phones in the bathroom?
I mean, everybody probably at one point, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
But you
if you
don't
think
see it
about
because
now,
it's an
generation,
infrared flash.
I think a lot of people don't even set their phones down.
I saw that at the doctor's office. I went to Quest Diagnostics today, and I was sitting there, and I picked up my phone to do my check-in, and looked around, and every single person in there had a phone, were bent over it, had their thumbs going, and I was like, geez, this is what we've come to. It's just incredible. Everybody. I mean, even as I was coming in as I'm pulling into the parking space, woman just walks out in front of me and acts surprised. Well, you're the one that didn't see me coming. You're on your phone.
Right. You're in your own world right now.
Yeah, exactly. People don't have situational awareness anymore.
Yeah.
They're
I wonder
easy
how many
pickings.
accidents. I wonder how many
People are
accidents
easy
phones
pickings.
cause, like as a whole, because they get classified in different things based on, if you were in your car or if you were,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. I bet there's so many that are attributed to phones in general.
Oh, yeah. They wanted to put tracking devices on us. They did it with the iPhone.
Brett looks over like, yeah, I'm on my phone right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
I'm on mine
irony.
too.
There he is. Yeah, we're talking about you.
Well, mine doesn't leave the house. I treat it like an iPad.
That's why I slipped out mine for the flip phone, is because I was addicted to mine. I was stuck on Pokemon Go. That was my horrible addiction.
No, I don't touch it until the evening. I'll use it during the day if I have to get in touch business-wise or do my banking. But other than that, it sits on the charger.
This game
I
you're
don't pick
talking
it up
about?
until after dinner. Mm-hmm.
Niantic.
But
Schmidt,
they've got us all right, dead to rights. They know exactly where everybody is, where to find them. They just don't tell us they know that.
Schmidt, I really agree with that. And Mudrabbit's one of the few people that's seen this. Everybody thinks I'm crazy. I've had like multiple accounts attack my page at once, and
Yeah.
Mudrabbit's been one of the few people around to see it. Like,
Yeah.
there will be 30 accounts all on my show at the same time,
I've seen
spamming
it
stuff.
too.
I'm like, wow, that's hard to keep up with for a small user.
Mm-hmm. And they're just
That's a pretty
people who
cool
don't have
picture.
anything better to do. I mean, come on, just get a life.
Yeah.
It's Pokemon Go.
Oh, that is
Yep.
Pokemon Go? I didn't know what it was.
No, I do Angry Birds, and then
Angry
I
Bird?
get tired of it.
I even get angry at Angry Birds if I spend way too long on a level.
Oh, I get tired of it after a while. I have a routine. I don't even play the levels. I'm up to, I think, 1,600 a year ago, and I just kind of left it there. But I'll go in and I'll play the arena and I'll play the daily challenge, and then I'm tired of it.
I was kind of thinking that too, Mad Pug. I don't know if I feel like infrared could see through tape.
Yeah, and we've also, I think Mad Pogue was there the day we were watching Zoso, and somebody came in speaking Turkish, telling their nephew to turn the thing down. So I got my Google Translator out and explained to them it was an open channel. They'd have to tell their nephew themselves.
Oh, Brett, you got a question in the chat. CM wants to know if you want to be friends on Pokemon Go. I don't play anymore.
On Pokemon.
What was that?
I have too many friends on Pokemon, and it's not even funny.
You
I'm
ain't got no
reading
time
Mad
for new
Pogue's-
friends, CM.
I'm reading Mad Pogue's last comment. It says he has an infrared camera. Mad Pogue, do you know how to see the infrared flash?
It's
Do you have a
mostly
filter or
family.
something?
How do you get that many family members on there? You must have a big family.
I do.
They used a filter on, they had him hold his phone up while she put a filter on her phone to catch it. It was very interesting.
CM said,
I have
fine, I don't
nothing.
want to be your friend anyway,
Never mind.
LOL.
Oh, Mad Pogue, look at that. CM's upset.
I have no friends anyways.
Oh, well, hush. You know you're always welcome to come over and hang out with me. I like hanging out with you, Brett. You're a nice guy. I'm pretty sure the story that you had for me tonight was how you were helping somebody else out and they didn't want your help.
I have 8
You're such a
friends
mean
on
person,
Pokemon
you.
Go.
Sounds like you got more friends than you can deal with.
Too bad. True that.
Wait, is this Brett from Brett's Worship Channel?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Right here on YouTube? Brett's Worship Channel?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Brett, I'm about to blow your mind with some biblical knowledge. Are you ready?
Hmm.
Yeah? Well, I
Sure.
tell you what, I'm going to blow your mind with some biblical knowledge when I come back right after these messages. I'm going to take a 3-minute break, all right? I'll be right back.
Hey, Emily, welcome back. Shout out to Andre Little. He's a good person.
I'm just so tickled Chase showed up. I haven't seen her in forever.
Yeah, it's nice seeing her back there. We got like looks like 14 people watching right now. I appreciate
Chat's more
everybody
fun when Chase is here.
tuning in. Yeah, she said she was taking a little break from the social media, and I said I don't blame you. Everybody needs one,
Yeah, I'm
especially if you
good.
get a little hooked on it. And Kenneth
I
is
get
in.
into my
Hey, Kenneth.
news. If it weren't for social media, I'd have to get a newspaper subscription. And you can't even trust that.
Right. Oh gosh, our local newspaper got bought out not too long ago, and yeah, it's garbage now.
Yeah.
It's all pay to play stuff on the internet anyway. Like they won't give you the actual stories unless you pay the subscription on the internet, even if you're not getting the paper.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No,
shout
I
out
don't
to
like
Kenneth. If
I think
anybody
we
hasn't
still
seen,
get ours for free on the internet, but I don't trust it. It's not like it used to be.
yeah, I remember when like local news was like you'd get your local news and then you'd get your international news as well,
Yeah.
but it was very much separated, even on like Fox or any of the local channels.
I like Miami Herald because sometimes they get it right. Sometimes they shill for the other side, but sometimes they do get it right. I guess it depends on who's writing the article.
Yeah, it definitely comes down to the writer, that's for sure.
Yeah. And the Sun Sentinel up here just pretty much says the same stuff and attributes it to the Miami Herald.
Hi, Richie. Nice to meet you. Thank you for stopping in. Jesus said to legalize it. What? What are we talking
Jesus
about?
said to legalize what?
I do know that they were using THC oil in the Bible. That's been documented a few times.
I think
They
in the
used it,
Bible it's 2 words, canabash or something like that.
yeah, it's a form of cannabis. It's their version of the word cannabis, and
Yeah.
they used to
Well, that's where
actually just use
cannabis
it for the
comes
oil. They
from.
never actually smoked it. They used it as a lotion to ease pain and.
Well, I believe there's a passage where they're told to smoke it and do the thing. I don't know. I'll have to find that one.
I heard something that they used to put that in the thing that they did at the Catholic Church when they were swinging that thing, but I never heard that Christians used it. But I did hear that in the Old Testament they used it as like an oil that you'd rub on the skin with other things mixed into it.
Well, hemp has a lot of uses. You can make clothing with it. The oil is very beneficial for the skin and the health. It's also good in cooking. The herb has a lot of medicinal values. There's a lot of good value in it.
Mm-hmm.
But they can't afford to legalize it completely because it would put so many industries out of business. I mean, it's a weed after all. It grows like a weed.
I think some of the industries are starting to realize what's going on, and they're gonna try to jump on the bandwagon before it becomes.
I think this Green New Deal bullshit is going to push us in that direction because it's cheap to grow, it's easy to manufacture into goods. It's got so many uses. It'll put the cotton industry out of business, and it's a higher quality fabric. I have hemp fabric, and I've worked with it before. It's really nice.
Oh, you're
There's
not wrong, Schmidt.
bamboo.
I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
bamboo is also another one. So I think we're
What do
going
you think the
to be
burning
headed in
bush
that direction.
was?
I think
Yeah,
the burning
right?
bush. I think it was the acacia tree, and I think it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
a highly DMT rich plant.
Yeah.
But yeah, he said the
So,
Lord
Brett,
created medicines out of the plants of the earth, and he who is wise shall not abhor them.
Right.
abhor them. Yeah.
What is that?
Abhor them.
No, I
Abhor
was
means to hate.
trying to read the passage 38:4.
Yes, see, it's 38
Escalations.
Ecclesiastes.
Oh, Ecclesiastes. I can't read it. It's tiny. My window's too small.
So, did you know that the speed of light is mentioned in the Bible? Numbers 2:9. You Brett, you knew that? Come on, you didn't know that already, did you?
Way
You
ahead of
knew
me.
that already.
He's trying to
You're
secure his
talking to
Pokemon, and he
Brett.
already
Of
knows
course
what you're
he
talking about.
knows.
Gosh darn it, I thought I'd stump you. But yeah, the speed of light is in the Bible of Judah 6,000. Where did everyone go? There you go.
Okay, Numbers 2:9.
100.
Numbers 2:9. All that were numbered in the camp of Judah were 100,000 and fourscore thousand and 6,000 and 400 throughout their armies.
Yep.
These shall first set forth. Is that the one?
That 4 is and whatever spread there.
Is that the speed of light? You're breaking up.
Hey Terry, try reconnecting. You're breaking up quite a bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
That's a little better.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the speed of light, those numbers?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
186,400 in miles per second is the speed of light.
That is so cool the way they put it all out there for us.
John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, whoever shall perish can have everlasting life.
John 3:16.
So in other words, we'd have to decode this part of the scripture to understand what they're saying. Because in terms of science, it doesn't make any sense.
Oh, that's good. Mad Pog. Terry Headroom. I was thinking
Terry
of the
Headroom?
Headroom incident. Bopping around in there. Touche, sir. And shout out to Andre Little tuning in. Nice to see you, Andre.
Andre, how you doing?
Is he on the other channel?
My friend in time.
I'm not sure which one he's on, but he's on one of the YouTube channels.
Yeah. Terry
I have 9 Bibles, and I read all of them.
What different versions do you usually reference? Just curious, because I'm big into knowing the differences in the Bibles and wondering why some versions portray kind of slightly different messages sometimes. And I don't know if
This
it's all
one is a thick Bible.
Yeah.
This has seen how many pages are in this.
Hello, R.A. Garcia. Thank you for stopping in. I appreciate it. Nice to see you.
Oh, I see it now. Yes. Canadian Patriot says he uses the New Latin Times. So I looked at it there. Yeah, 186,400.
So I have the NIV.
Okay.
I read a couple. I saved a couple pages already. In that one, I have NIV.
Okay.
Um,
You look like a King James boy to me. I wasn't sure.
I don't know which one this is. The NIV or the other one. Probably the other one. But I don't know. NIV. Where did my other ones go?
Which one is the NIV? Which one does that stand for? Do you remember?
I don't know. Let me look it up.
I'm gonna say because I
Is
know
that
there's
New International
32
version?
plus versions. What was that, Terry?
Is that NIV New International Version?
Maybe. And Canadian said the NLT is the New Living Translation. I'm gonna leave the Andre stuff offline. I'm not gonna, because I don't wanna get him in the mood tonight. But Andre, you know we're all here to support you, man. Hope you know that. If you don't, you should. And then Mudrabbit posted the speed of light is equal to 299,792,458 meters per second. Wow. Okay,
Yep.
the New International Version. That's what yours is, Brett.
Yeah.
Mudrabbit did the math.
I also need to take a quick 3 minutes at the most. I will be right back. Let's see. You have the King James Bible, the Jewish version, the Catholic version, the Mormon version, and all the other denominations.
Look at Mudrabbit go to work here.
And then Proverbs 29:2 in ESV. When the righteous increase, the people rejoice. But when the wicked rule, the people groan. Makes sense. Seems. I think I was always raised on the King James version. That was the one I was memorizing when I was in Bible school when I was younger. Andre's got a question for you, Brett. He says, what do you think of Matthew 19:26 in the Bible?
Let me go to it real quick. I wish I knew page numbers very, very well, but I don't. Matthew, or is it on there?
Who are the apostles? Let's see. It's Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Paul, George, and Ringo.
Matthew.
Yeah, something like that.
19.
Anyway.
Somewhere 19.
What I missed? Did you find it?
I found it. I mean, let's see.
I know Andre's been doing a lot of Bible study lately. Were you able to find it, Andre? I mean, Brett?
Yeah.
What do you think of Matthew 19:26?
Um, I don't know.
What is it for us that don't know it offhand?
Yeah, you want to read it out loud for us and share with us?
So, Jesus looked at him and said, "With man, this is impossible. Yeah, impossible. With the God, all things are possible."
So that's a pretty powerful statement. With God, all things are possible. Right? And that
Yeah.
basically the sum of the verse. Interesting. That's what Andre also said. It says, with God, all things are possible. So, I mean, it's man, I feel like it's a deep statement. I feel like anybody that's found themselves in religion or Christianity, Judaism, Catholicism, if they
Did we
have
lose
found God,
Terry?
yeah, he just popped out 2 seconds ago. If somebody does find God and is able to use that to explain things, I think that is a very solidifying verse. Okay, that smokers go to hell, Jacob. Oh, come on. Is that how you think of me? Am I just immediately going to hell? He's back. Welcome, Terry.
Yeah, don't know what happened, but yeah.
And then
I have my
what's that? New Testament. Oh, Psalms and Proverbs.
pocket. It can fit in the pocket. So I have too many Bibles. Not too many, but I have 9 Bibles.
You got more space for notes then. It's even better. My grandma always had one that she used all the time. I like looking back at it
Oh,
because of all the
Terry,
different notes.
You'll find this interesting, Terry.
Yeah.
When I still had my dog,
Yeah.
I used to walk my dog in the alley behind the house here, and we'd go around the block twice a day.
Yeah,
And
Mudrabbit.
walked him in the morning, didn't notice anything. Walked him in the afternoon, headed up the alley, and turned around to come back the alley because it was rush hour and I didn't want to be where people were coming home. And it wasn't there before, but I looked down by a tree and there was a Bible sitting there, a very old Bible, open to Psalm 17. I thought it was the coolest thing. So I picked it up, I grabbed the leaf, I stuck the leaf where it was open and took it home. And I have this old Bible with a leaf marking Psalm 17. And this was right about the time we started with the drops, with the 17th letter.
17. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just thought that
Mhm.
was pretty synchronistic.
Definitely. Wow.
I always
wow.
took this
And it's a
Bible
prayer of David.
Mm-hmm.
And
too much for.
considering the things that are happening now, I thought that was pretty notable.
David versus Goliath.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, this is the prayer of David. So I just thought that was pretty cool. I've kept that Bible. I don't know who it belonged to. It wasn't there on the first pass. It was there on the second, and just laying. It was clean too. It was like somebody had placed it there, opened it up, and left it on that page. And it's one of those old leather Bibles where the leather's breaking down. You know, the black leather.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's got the super thin pages.
Wow.
So, and
Divine
they were
providence. That's how you
yeah,
found
I
it.
just thought that was pretty cool. I recognized it when
Absolutely.
it happened.
Absolutely.
You know, we get frustrated
Wow.
when we think we're not being heard, and you know, everybody says God wins and God's in this and God's got
Yeah.
our back. But there's a lot of people out there that, if you really pay attention at the small things, He's talking to us. He really is talking to us. That's not the only incident, but it's the one that stands out at this moment. And it's not just me. It's happening for everybody if you just pay attention. Just pay attention, because I do believe, you know, for people who are waking up, they'll see it. It'll be right there in your face.
I think for most people, I think it's actually very similar to religion. Is they only seek religion when they're in turmoil, when they're in the foxhole, so to speak.
Yeah, that's like the guy swimming to the shore. You know, it's conditional.
Yeah, and those are the same people that ask God to prove themselves to you, like the individual, in order for you to believe. It's like what we were talking about earlier. You set the
Yeah,
standard
but
for
what
what
nerve
makes you
asking
able to
God
believe.
to prove Himself to us? That takes a lot of balls.
Yeah. Andre
That's
had an
ego.
interesting question. He said, "What do we think of?" I think he means Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, I love when they come by. They don't come by my house anymore. They avoid me. I'm not kidding. They avoid me like the plague, because I want to sit down and talk to them. I want to pick apart everything they're telling me. We've got a lot of churches.
I'll answer that question for Andre. There's a very famous Las Vegas stage magician by the name of Penn Jillette. Penn Jillette is one half of the famous magical duo of Penn and Teller.
Yeah,
And
I like that.
yeah, they've had tons of television specials. They have a residency in Las Vegas for a big stage show. He's a big deal. And Penn Jillette is also a very famous atheist. And he's written countless articles on atheism. And he told a story where after one of his performances, you know, he's signing autographs, and here comes what they always call the last person in line to get the autograph. It's after everyone's already gone through. Here's the last person. It's usually someone that usually gets a little bit of extra time because, hey, you're the last person here. And he tells a story, and you can look this story up on YouTube, where this guy that came up to get an autograph hands off a Bible to Penn Jillette, and he knows full well, of course, that Penn Jillette's an atheist. And the gentleman, Penn goes on to tell the story, that left his business card saying, "Hey, if you ever need prayer, and need someone to talk to, my card's in there. Feel free to reach out." And Penn said that he was a nice man, the way he went about it, and he appreciated it and gave gratitude for it, just in that moment. And he also said that if you see it from their perspective, they have this built-in obligation to where they feel that essentially, if you're on a railroad track and there's a train coming, they are going to come out and save you and pull you off that track to stop you from facing that inevitable of the worst.
Is that what he thinks
So
of Christians?
that's how he feels of the Jehovah's Witnesses. They feel they have an obligation to come out and say, "Hey, you just might be on this wrong path. Here, we're just reaching out to you. If you need to get off that path, we're here."
Well, that's one thing for somebody to offer it in that style, but we get the ones here in these neighborhoods that just they don't leave you alone.
Well, I mean, I always think it's weird with a set number of people that can make it into what we would consider heaven or the afterlife or, the ascension process. There's a set number. So it's like, is it almost competitive with who makes it in and who doesn't? If there's a set number,
I think they all have a misguided view of what the afterlife is all about. There's a lot of TikToks, and you can find them on the YouTube shorts. There's two nurses who are hospice care nurses, and they walk you through the death process, and it gives you a whole new idea of what goes on after you die. You're not alone. You don't die alone. Even if your body is alone, you don't die alone, ever. They explain to you what these people are going through, what the reaching is. And I've seen all this myself with my grandmother and my mom. There's something there. There is something there that you cannot see until you're ready to pass over. From what I've seen and from what these nurses tell me, there's something there. And there's people there waiting for you.
That's interesting, Schmidt. I actually didn't know that they didn't think that Jesus was resurrected.
We all get resurrected at death. I think it's been twisted.
That's probably a big distinction between Jehovah's Witnesses and like Christianity.
Yeah. Well, they all have their different bents on it.
What was that?
They all have their different ideas about it and what happens. I mean, the church I grew up in, you go to sleep, you don't wake up until Jesus comes, and that's just not true.
Yeah.
Other churches, they've got you going to hell and purgatory if you've been sinful. No, none of that happens. None of that. I'm convinced. I saw my grandmother do the reaching.
Andre Little, so was Prince.
Huh?
Prince and Elvis
so was Prince. Prince was a Jehovah's Witness. Kevin Smith tells a story about working with Prince and how he was a Jehovah's Witness.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I do think it's different for each religion. I think it depends on the family that you brought up in and what you believe and what church you subscribe to. But I think there's a certain measure of control wielded over it so that you have a certain fear when it comes your time.
How's it going, Peggy Dancer? It's cool to see you over here.
Hello, Peggy Dancer. Nice glad you came over. Yeah, I said hi to her in the wrong chat. I'm over in the other room.
I was just telling people the other day about how like all of us met over on Aaron's chat, and it's always cool to see when people migrate from Aaron's chat over here on off days. Of course, I don't want anybody over here when Aaron's live.
Yeah,
my rule.
No, we wouldn't take away from Aaron. We love him too much.
But yeah, no, it's so cool. The other one that the diehard that I always remember is Sopranos fan when he wanders over. I love a Sopranos fan wandering over and talking to us too.
Oh, he's always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I like that. There's a bunch of good people that go to Aaron's that also go to Zozo's and also go here and also go to Frank's. So it's one big happy crowd.
Once we die and leave this earth, we are gone and not coming back. That's one view on it. I don't know. So I believe in a higher power. Well, I believe in a higher power, but I think by nature. So I've studied religion a long time, and I've always had an acceptance of religion, but I think humans are kind of corrupt by nature, and I think that's where the religions on Earth get a little
Well, a lot of what we're
gray area.
dealing with is what was laid down back in medieval times with the Vatican.
Yeah. Christians are stuck defending the Crusades as long as they're Christians. But those were human actions that had nothing to do with the religion, and I always like to point that out, even if I don't agree with everything about Christianity.
No, religion was just the cloak they used to make it okay.
Exactly.
No, that's how it all got twisted. And we've got so many religions, nobody knows what the one true truth is. We can only take what knowledge everybody has and try to piece it together like a puzzle to figure out what's going on. But a lot of the books across a lot of the religions have parallels. They have similar canons and similar rules and similar admonishments through Islam, through Christianity, through Buddhism and Hinduism, through all of it. There seems to be certain common themes that just run through the whole thing. So there's something to it. We just don't know how it got so divided. I think it had much to do with the Tower of Babel. I think that's not so much literal as it is metaphorical. Not just languages, but belief systems and the whole bit. And when we got scattered, we took what little bit each group had and built on that. And so now we've got all these different religions.
Yeah,
I just wonder, though, my perspective is I spend the time looking at the night sky and observing the constellations. There's Orion. And then, of course, there the whole metaphor of the sun going and moving through the zodiac. So
and the Virgin.
Right. So I just wonder if the Bible and all of these interpretations throughout all of these religions is just merely the written down of these stories of just cavemen laying out underneath the stars and saying, hey, that kind of looks like such and such. And
no, I
there's
think
the hunter, and now he's going after the lion, and here we are.
Yeah, I think there's a purpose to it. I think they're used as markers the same way Q gives us markers and deltas. I think astrology is also one of the markers because the prophecies in the Bible will refer to them. If you know what to look for.
I think it's a mixture of both. Kind of what Terry said. It is us trying to tell these stories and understand our surroundings and try to put things to it, but it evolves over time. That's why I think a lot of people can actually link most modern day religion to serpent worship and back to paganism and even farther back, and they'll all have similarities with flood stories and
the serpent worship was worldwide.
Yeah. And if you think of the Vatican, the name of the Vatican is, it would be pronounced Vatican at the time, Con being serpent, Vatican meaning place of.
After hearing Karen Huda's on Gary Franchi, what was that, 7-8 years ago? I've had a whole different view of what's in the Vatican.
Well, I'm just so the idea of drinking the blood of Christ and eating the body of Christ in Christianity and Catholicism, that's based on serpent worship as well. They used to drink the blood of the serpent, and that was something that they did. And a serpent wasn't actually a negative entity; it was actually a good entity. It was also recognized as helping save people's lives, and it was something that's really evolved over time. And I think it's like, so it's a mixture of these classic ideas that we had mixed with like the verbal tellings of the Iliad and the Odyssey. It very much turns into the telephone game over time as well. And whoever's telling the story, it's a little different. And sometimes it evolves over time. That's why I think it's interesting how many different different Bibles there are, different depictions of the same story,
Yeah.
different translations. Oh yeah, and I'm not
I mean,
against that.
take for example earlier of the translations that had to, excuse me, had to do with her translation, because in her translation it was talking about scores and decades, and that the archaic language, to then have to translate it out. Okay, a score is 20 years, a decade is 10 years. Now we have to do all of this math here to come out to
Right. Just confuse the
a
masses.
number
And
in
back
language
then,
that we understand.
yeah, and
That's
back when
that's the craziest
when they
part.
translated the Bible, the scribes did it intentionally because the masses were uneducated.
I
I
actually
just
do
dropped
think
a link in the chat if you want to
I saw
share
that.
it. That's 8 years ago. Gary Franchi did an interview with Karen Hudes. Karen Hudes happened before Julian Assange WikiLeaks drops. Karen Hudes was the first whistleblower, came out, I think it was 2014, 2015, and she was the attorney for the World Bank. And she started blowing the whistle. They locked her out of her office, so she started all these lawsuits so they couldn't offer. She knows what's in the Vatican. And she, at the end of this interview, she alludes to it. And it's kind of scary.
Let me
So watch it
ask you
with
guys
caution.
all an interesting question about the Bible, and I think it'll touch on what Terry just brought up as well. I personally think the people that lived to the ages in the Old Testament actually lived to those ages, and I don't think we have a different form of how we identify time. I think some of the people that we said lived that long actually did live that long, and I'm wondering if
Yeah, well, we've been
was the
poisoned to the point where
de-evolution
our
of
lives have been
humanity, or
shortened.
like how do you guys think about it?
I'm with
We were
Mudrabbit.
meant to have longer lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Body has a
They
natural
spray
healing
us, they poison
process.
us, they put crap in our food, and then they dumb down the population so they don't know any better, and people get sick and they don't know why.
And who
This
was
thing
it?
with the pure blood blows my mind. These people going around, there seems to be some sort of issue with purebloods, and it just rankles me because nobody is truly a pureblood. If you've ever had a vaccine of any kind, when you're born in this country, you get a DPT, and when you're a toddler, you get an MMR. You get these things. You had the smallpox vaccination in the 60s, you couldn't go to school without it. If you ever caught a cold, that thing is in your body now in the form of immunity. There's no such thing as a pure blood. A pure blood has never had an injection of any kind and never been sick. And they're trying to equate it as purebloods being people that didn't take the jab. Well, I got news for you. They've been spraying that shit on us for
Yeah.
how many decades now?
No one stands a
They've been
chance at this point.
the February. You came online in October of 2017, and in February of 2018, I noticed the skies here in South Florida cleared up. And I haven't seen one since. Not one chemtrail.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think
I
we
hear
have
they're
any
still going
control
on
over
in
it.
other parts.
Do you think we really
Yeah,
have any
they've been
control
spraying this
over
stuff
most of
on
that?
us. Huh?
Do you think we even have control over most of that, or do you think it's just going to happen
No,
like
we
regardless?
don't. We don't.
Like the main one I see with
Knowledge.
food, I see it with wheat and grain a lot. maximizing harvests and trying to rush these things to get to the stores, have a bigger profit margin, and everything else. I see it in farming more than anything.
Well, the wheat that we have isn't even original wheat. I mean, it's been hybrid so much, and it doesn't have all the nutrition value that it used to have when it was still wild grains that they mixed up. It's just, you can't claim to be a pure blood in this world. If you were, you'd probably live 900 years.
I'm going to catch up the chat a little bit. Schmidt
Sure.
was saying, if you believe in God or any religion but don't think UFOs, I think could be real, you're just naive because they are the same belief as the belief in God or aliens. It's the same, except UFOs and aliens have proof. I kind of agree with you and kind of don't, because I don't like the idea of UFO being trapped with higher power, but I 100% agree that an alien could be a higher power, and it
Not a
just be
higher
us
power,
being-
just a higher technologically advanced
yeah,
race.
we would think of them as gods because they're so
We
advanced.
would if we were less advanced, we would, but now we know what they are, and not all of them are aliens. Some of them are actually quite nasty little beings you don't want anywhere near you. And the real ones, when you bump into the real ones, it's not that, see if I can explain this. When you bump into a real non-terrestrial, I don't know if that's the right term, maybe they live underground, there's a visceral feeling that goes up the back of your neck. You feel it.
Yeah.
You truly, truly feel it.
Well,
So
there's
these
no
people,
classification for it anymore
no,
because
there isn't. It starts between your shoulder blades and it goes right up the back of your neck into your head. It's that fear thing, that flight or fright thing, that you get when your adrenaline goes up. It happens.
I thought it's the third option. It's the freeze that nobody addresses in the fight or flight.
I didn't freeze. I melted. I couldn't hold myself
Wait,
up.
but nobody. I think it's interesting that nobody ever. They always say it's either fight or flight, but nobody ever
It's the
addresses the
same
fact that
feeling. It's
everybody
the same
knows
feeling.
freezing or being paralyzed in shock kind of thing is totally a feeling you'll get as well,
Yeah.
if not prepared.
Yeah. I wasn't prepared, and I saw this thing on my lawn, and all I could do was close the door because I fell. My legs gave out. I was so frightened. And I prayed. I just prayed it away. I was just like, God, no, I can't do this. You definitely get this visceral feeling when these things happen. It's not, I mean, I read these encounters of people, where they talk about how they're all friendly, and maybe that's true for some people. And I have never seen a UFO. I'm still looking for them. But we have beings on this planet that we don't know about. I don't know where they come from. I don't know if they came from out there. I don't know if they came from underground, but they're here.
And that's what I mean when you said you couldn't classify if it was terrestrial or not. I do think it's possible that there could be species that have lived on this planet before us.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's possible of. I think
That could still be
the
here.
interdimensional idea is a lot more popular now as well.
That's very possible too. And maybe they come from there. I have no idea. I don't know the first thing about them.
It's hard to classify, and I think that's what they're doing with reusing the what's the new term for UFOs? AVPs?
Madpo guy.
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
I've never seen a UFO, Madpo.
UAP.
What I did see on my front lawn was a reptilian. And I'm not talking about an alligator. I'm talking about something that stood upright, had a cloak and a hat.
I was gonna say, what are the alligators doing out there?
Yeah, right? No, this was not an alligator. If I could describe it, it looked more like a turtle without a shell, but it did have a tail. And I heard my son's back door go, and I went to open the front door to let him in because he had the efficiency behind our house. And when I opened the door, it was standing there looking toward my living room window. And when I opened the door, it turned and it looked at me, and my heart felt like it was in my mouth. I was so scared. I closed the door, I put my back against it, and I slid down into a sitting position and sat there for 20 minutes, breathing really hard and praying, because I'd never seen one of these things before. And up until then, I didn't believe they existed. But I'm going out on a limb here because this is the first time I've ever talked about it online. And I will tell you, people, these things exist.
So do you think so with your experience of it, because I've heard different accounts of this, do you think it's when they're walking among us, it's they're almost cloaked in a way? Do you think they're hiding from the public?
I don't
Or
know.
do you think
I don't
they
know.
think of this planet as their own? Like, can you give me any
What I
insight
got
on
from
this?
this, was that he wasn't there for anything nefarious. This was trying to think of the year we had all the hurricanes, back in the mid to late 90s. I was doing a lot of reading and exploring, and it was right before I joined up with the Cassiopean group. And I was reading a lot of books, and I was reading Velikovsky and, Val, all those things about these people from other planets. And you put the thought out there. That's why they say be careful what you put out there, because I had read something somewhere that said that you put the thought out there and it'll happen. So I started putting the thought out there without realizing what was going to come back at me.
Mm-hmm.
And this happened. And at the time I put the thought out there, I really wasn't thinking. I was more curious than anything else. But apparently my intention was strong enough, because it brought this thing on my lawn at about 11:30, quarter to midnight. And I don't know what to think of it. I really don't. It scared me bad enough. I honestly didn't believe in these things. I thought they didn't exist. Now I've never seen one. You got to show me. And they showed me. Now, as far as grays go, I've never seen waking things like that, but this one thing I did see. And I did talk to Aaron about the shadow and the two-dimensional man that I saw. But I don't know what to make of these things. All I can do is just pass on the information. I would not even want to speculate on what they're there for, but I definitely got the feeling this guy was not hostile. He was answering something I had put out there.
Sorry, my rabbit's going nuts in the background. She's like,
Oh,
I
Dirt
know,
Bunny.
I know Mudrabbit's talking. I can hear her.
Yeah, be careful what you ask for, because it's real. It's real. And who else is aware of it? Combat Carl.
Yeah.
I talked to his wife. She's convinced. So I don't know what kind of experience she's had, but she's seen something to convince her as well.
But that's my first question for anybody that talks about reptilians, is because I do think there's something to the Draco star system and why people talk about winged reptilians from
I
there.
don't think this was a typical Draco. I really don't.
I don't
He
think
was
it was
about,
either.
no,
The
it
way
was
you
about
described
my
it makes
height.
me think. The way you described it makes me think it was an earthly reptilian, where it was
Yeah, but
probably here prior to us.
it had a scaly body like a turtle would have,
Yeah.
but it was not anything like what they describe as these reptilians that are in the stories and all the encounters. It was nothing like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't big.
But I think there's two fractions of them. I think those are considered like it's a hierarchy system, and the ones that have been on Earth have been here for a while, and they probably aren't even considered in as high in the chain of command as the Dracos from the Draco system. I mean, this is
I'm
all
not even
speculation.
convinced that this
I'm
was,
talking about out there ideas, of course.
yeah.
This is just speculation, but
Yeah, I don't think this one was connected in any way to them, because I didn't get that feel. I got the feel, honestly, it was just there to honor a request. And it just scared me so bad I couldn't follow through.
Oh, Schmidt was asking, did you guys see David Icke has been banned from almost all European countries?
I watched
Yeah, that
David
happens to
Icke
him all the
at-
time.
I've watched David Icke on VHS tapes. David Icke goes back. Read several of his books. The Beyond the Matrix was the
Now,
first
he
one that I
believes
read.
in these reptilian things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I don't think most people know how David Icke started, and I think that is a good tell on like where he is now. I'm like, oh yeah, no, he was a regular journalist back in the day when journalists had some kind of integrity. He was an actual journalist,
Yeah.
and he was a
Yeah.
sports journalist, so I think it was a little easier than news journalism, but especially nowadays. But he developed this where he was digging more over time, and a lot of people, I don't know, David Icke has slowly become more of an OG in my lifetime, where he's not considered the wacko that everybody thought he was 10 years
Yeah.
ago.
No, there are wackos out there, and I've run across a few of them.
Good
I
night,
don't know.
Canadian.
Huh?
I say good night, Canadian.
Oh,
I'm gonna make
yeah.
sure everybody got that out before he was gone.
There used to be a girl online called Wealawa. I don't know if anybody out there knows. This is going back a few years. And she had a website called Wealawa Press. Her name was spelled Wioolawa. And I forget her real name offhand, but she was one of these wackos. She saw reptilians and aliens and denizens and absolutely everything she took pictures of.
Oh,
So
she
you
was the one
compare
getting
that.
weird. She was getting weird negatives on her camera. She had a camera that was getting these pictures.
She used to do the solarized pictures.
Yeah.
She would
Okay.
shoot the stars at night and do the solarized pictures and swear that she could see the reptilians on the ships and things like that. Is that,
Yeah.
you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, because I have trouble finding people who remember who she was. She disappeared, just disappeared online. And I found her on a Reddit thread a few years later after her site went down, but there's still references to her site out there. But you compare somebody like her to David Icke and you can tell who the wackos are.
There's a few I guess it's reptilian lore that I usually go to. It's just my go-to information when I look into it, and it's usually older African stories of African tribes talking about these people coming up, as well as ancient Indian myths.
Oh,
And
yeah.
those are
Mutwa.
yeah,
Fredo
they
Mutwa,
consider
yeah.
them the ant people,
Yeah.
and then like there's just so many cultures that talked about these people coming up from below.
Yeah.
That weren't negative.
And then exactly, and the Native Americans talk about them that during the Great Deluge, the ant people came up. I think it was the Navajos, or maybe it was Pueblos. They said the ant people came up and took them underground until it passed.
Because there was going to be a war overhead, basically, and
Something, either a
land
war or a
was going to
flood.
be
I think it was
destroyed.
the Great Flood, Noah's Flood, or something like that, which I also happen to think wasn't as long ago as they say it was.
Yeah, but it's weird that so many ancient stories have these ties, and that's why I do find reptilians to be interesting, and I think it's interesting how much sci-fi tries to depict it, because they pick up that just as much as the small gray idea, I think.
Look, they're scary enough because they're not anything we are used to. They don't need to make them any scarier than they already are, which I have a feeling that's what they do.
Well, and it's a lot more fathomable if you think of how science is telling you we evolved from these small mammals that were in the ground, and at the time there was giant reptilians walking around, and then the fact that they couldn't evolve at the same rate we did when we were just small, tiny mammals.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it fits the science narrative. Why couldn't something that was larger than us develop a larger brain? Or why couldn't something more advanced than us in size eventually, be the dominant species in some way.
I
That's
don't necessarily believe in evolution, but I do believe in devolution. I believe, what was it, Methuselah lived 900 years. People lived hundreds of years back then before the earth was so polluted. And I think our bodies and our earth and our environment has evolved to a point where we barely make it to 75.
Question about pollution. Where did it come from? Where did the unnatural pollutants come from?
Corporate, cheap. They want cheap products.
Well,
I mean, geez, we used to get all our products in glass, and now it comes in plastic.
Okay, I get that, but there's been a jump in that technology there to give us plastic and batteries and all kinds of that. But anything that is of this earth came from Earth, didn't it? Or
Yeah.
where did it come from?
Well, we
How?
bastardize it in the process. We make a bunch of smoke in the process, and paper mills. Oh my God, paper mills.
Yeah.
There was a paper mill between Hendersonville and Asheville that I had to pass, and when it was steaming, it stunk. Oh,
so I do believe our production has an impact on
well, by the same
the
token, do
atmosphere.
we really need all that stuff? I
No,
mean, my God,
and I would
most
agree.
of the
I would
stuff
agree
we,
that we don't. I would
yeah,
agree that
most of
we
the
don't.
stuff
But
we
I
put on
think
our
that.
skin is poison.
But would you say our planet at a resting state, when it's not coming out of an ice age or going into one, has polar caps on any of its ends by description?
Well, the polar caps, I know those are growing now. They've already done a rebound. We're
Well,
supposed to be going into a mini ice age.
so NASA has put out information for the last 60 years that it is growing ice, but it's not as thick as the ice that we're losing. But I think in a resting state, our planet doesn't have polar ice caps. I think there's a reason
It's
that
more
our planet,
tropical, yeah. Well, we're
yeah.
coming out of that. We've been slowly coming out of that over the last hundreds and thousands of years. It's not
Mhm.
instant. But the ice ages, the mini ice ages, are an instant rebound. You'll have one winter where everybody's screaming about climate warm, the climate warming, and then the following winter you get a mini ice age. That's how fast the ice can do.
But
But
I
when
do
you
think there's a lot of research that has been shown that yes, we are creating more greenhouse gases with the production that we're doing. But these greenhouse gases, because we can identify them and call them greenhouse gases, have been produced on this planet for long periods of time. We can look at
yeah,
ice core samples millions of years ago when there was deposits that were way different than what we're putting out
well,
now.
look at it this
It's
way:
not all human based.
you've got people like AOC screaming about cow farts and carbon reduction, and then in the middle of all her screaming at that, what happened? How many volcanoes went off? One volcano can put so much crap in the air, more than the entire population of a world over the course of several hundred years.
Hey,
Yeah.
Mudrabbit, did you know that Martha's Vineyard currently has the exact same sea level right now as
Yeah.
it did back in the 1700s when America was founded in the first place?
Talk to me.
Yep,
I live next
it's
to a
true.
swamp.
Yeah.
I live next to a swamp.
Yeah.
If that were true, I would have been flooded out of this state years ago. The lower tip of Florida is swamp.
Well, yeah, California's not supposed to be attached anymore.
Yeah,
And
right?
Florida's
That was
supposed to
Gordon
still
Michael
be
Scallion.
underwater. I mean,
I think a lot of those predictions Gordon Michael Scallion gave, I'm watching that. My mom was into that, and she had the maps and everything.
There's a name from back in what, the 90s?
Yeah. So if you look at the biblical meaning of the sea, it's not the ocean, it's the people. The people are the sea. And what did Gordon Michael Scallion say? That California would go into the sea? And look at what's happening in California. And he also said that Florida would become the education point of the whole country. And look at what's happened. So I think he misinterpreted those maps to think it would be flooding because of the word sea or ocean, which is actually the people, it's not the water in the biblical context.
I'll be in Florida in December.
So California has gone under the sea now with everything that's going on over there. New York also. And those were all his predictions. And on top of it, predicting that Florida would be the education capital of the country, it seems to be that's what's happening.
What part of Florida, Brett?
I don't know. I have to look it up.
I
I'm going to my
was
aunt's
just
house.
down there recently. I stayed out there for about a week.
I'm going down there for a week.
Nice. I know Herman just got back from there too.
Yeah, I don't believe in this coasts are rising. I do believe we're having beach erosion because they've cut down a lot of the plants that kept it there. But no, we're not going to have global. Besides, when the earth gets warmer, we have more green plants. We have more food. And the carbon they want to eliminate is us. We are carbon beings. You eliminate carbon in this world, then you kill us.
Touche, Schmidt. I would say it's far off from that. I hope that's not the standard. Is Florida the educational capital?
Yeah, they
Does not
used
help us.
lead, they used mercury, they used all kinds of stuff on their face.
No, I was talking about he was making a joke about Florida being the capital of education.
These people have no idea what's been transpiring down here. We got rid of CRT. We got rid of critical race theory. We got rid of masks in the classroom.
No, that's current stuff. But think about it in the last 10 years.
Yeah, the last 10 years is actually, since my son was in school, it's been pretty shitty because by the time my son hit grade 4, civics was taken out of class.
Yeah.
So he never learned civics. So what would happen was I would teach him these things, and then he would go back to school and get in trouble with his teachers because the teacher would say one thing, he'd go, but no, it happened this way. And I'd get called into the class and have to go back
I
for
also
him.
think there's more to it than that. I think with Florida for the longest time being the populace of our retirement community of the United States.
Yeah, and a lot of these,
with it being such a big impact in the opioid epidemic, at a time Florida was giving out more opiates than all the other states combined.
Yep.
Like there's something to that. And then all the Florida man stories, like I know it's kind of a joke, but all the Florida man stories that come out of Florida. That's why I say in the last 10 years, Florida has like leaps and bounds came out of the woodworks.
My brother is Florida man, and that was from back in the 70s.
Yeah.
No, we have Florida man. That's just a native species.
I'll be
the drugs are just something added.
20 minutes away from Bradenton.
Bradenton? So you're going to be Bradenton, Sarasota area. That's where I went.
You are?
That's Bradenton where I was at. Yeah.
I grew up in Bradenton.
My mom's got a place out there.
Mm-hmm. It's nice over there.
I've
been down in South Florida too long.
20 minutes away from Bradenton.
Nice.
From where?
Bradenton.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's funny.
My mom was born
AKA
in Ruskin.
A bunch of grannies running around. He's talking about Granny, the gentleman that pops in every once in a while.
And you want some fun in Florida, go to Casadega.
Casadega?
Yeah.
Where's that at?
That's up it's up by Gulf Breeze where all the UFOs are.
Oh, okay.
Gulf Breeze is where all the UFOs are. I used to live in Maitland too. Gulf Breeze is where all the UFOs get sighted, and Casadega is where all the witches live. At least that's how it was in the 70s and the 80s. Every time you go to Casadega, everybody's into this witchcraft stuff.
I hope a spaceship takes off when I'm down there. I never seen a spaceship take off.
You'd have to
Oh,
go
like
over
that.
on the East Coast in Titusville, over where NASA is, if you want to see them take off. But actually, if they're taking off, you can see them almost anywhere in Florida. You can see the
Yeah.
trail.
I never seen a spaceship take off except online.
I watched the Challenger from my front yard and saw it explode. I
Ooh,
just kind of
Hey,
stood there in
talk about
disbelief.
No
a
way,
bad one to get to
really?
watch.
Yeah.
Wow.
You and all the other students that
Yeah. If you're on the East Coast, you can see the trail. You can see the smoke trail go. You just have to be looking in the right direction.
Wow.
And if it's a clear day, you can see it. And I saw it go, and then I saw it do this funky thing, and then I didn't see it go anymore. And I thought, what the hell happened? And then the news came on and said it exploded.
Wow.
you know, it's funny, Brett, you might actually have a really good chance of seeing one. So there was one canceled when I was there. It's actually rescheduled soon. So if depending on when
there
you
was
go,
only one that took off.
I knew they rescheduled the one when I was there, and I didn't get to witness it because I've never seen it in person either, in real life.
Artemis.
Has, my
Is
grandma
it real?
has. Everybody else has except me.
No, I haven't.
Well, a lot of people who live down here haven't seen it either, and I haven't seen it since the Challenger. And I didn't see anything from Bradenton when I was a kid. I didn't see anything until I moved to the East Coast.
Is it? Am I the only one that's a Challenger conspiracy theorist?
No.
Okay,
No, I've
to
seen
offend
that too,
anybody.
where they're still alive.
Yeah.
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't want to offend anybody because I do think it's a tragic event if anybody lost their lives. But I have seen footage and other things of documentaries about these people that looked very similar to those people with different names that went
Yep.
on to live different lives. And I can't say that they're the Challenger people or anything like that. They could have been
And
lookalike.
wasn't at the time the parts of it came down in Palestine, Texas, which I think is where Bush had a ranch. And there was a bunch of things going on in the Gaza Strip at the time. So that was another synchronicity.
I didn't know if there was like a Mandela effect on that one because I haven't heard anybody talk about that
I
in
have
quite a
no
while.
idea.
I might be able to
What's that?
see one take off.
Oh, do they have one scheduled to shoot around that time?
December 12th at 6:46 a.m. in
Just got to
December.
get up pretty early in the morning if you want to see that one.
Yeah. So I will be there, down there.
It'd be cool if you were flying in and saw it.
I'm
Jim,
flying in on the 10th. And
could you
it's on
imagine
12th.
being in a plane though and seeing something
Yeah,
go
that
off?
would be cool.
That would be amazing. I don't know what they do for plane flights if they're doing a shoot like that.
I don't know.
I wonder if they cancel all flights in the area for that duration.
I think they just have a no-fly zone around the area. Kind of like what
No,
Trump
on
has
the bases
over.
have a no-fly zone. Regardless, it's only usually by permission. Most of the bases already have the no-fly zone. I just didn't know if they expanded it or anything during the time.
They've got a security zone over Mar-a-Lago.
Oh wow!
So in
Didn't
West
know that.
Palm, they've got this area you can't fly over. Sometimes I think that's just a decoy. I don't think he's ever where everybody thinks he is. POTUS is fully insulated.
What were you saying, Brett?
I'm landing in Bradenton when I get down there.
Yeah, it's the Bradenton Sarasota Airport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's the exact same airport I came in on.
Yep, smack dab between the two. That's where the Blue Angels do their show.
And that would be cool to watch too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're ever up there when the Blue Angels are there, that's where they do it. That area right next to the airport. I don't know what it looks like now. I mean, I haven't been up there for years, but there used to be a big open field there, and everybody used to park, get on the hoods of their car, and just watch.
Mhm.
So I hate to be the party pooper, but seems like we're on at least a positive conversation now. We're
Yeah.
not talking about graveyards and something scary.
Yeah.
And we're a little over 3 hours in. If everybody wants to give some closing statements, we can probably wrap up.
Sure. I'd like to do this again. This is fun.
Yeah, no, I
Totally.
enjoy it.
And
I
I'm
liked
so
not
glad
having it
Chase
that
is
topic
here.
tonight. We kind of wandered. And thank
Sorry,
you,
I
Chase,
bombed
for
it.
tuning in. Thank you, everybody in the audience tuning in. I appreciate all that. What were you saying, Brett?
Absolutely.
Sorry, I bombed it.
Oh, no, you didn't bomb us.
You're fine.
We did some math.
Got that speed of light thing going.
Yeah.
Well, got us talking about Bible verses, got us talking about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely helped with the conversation.
Got to see Mudrabbit at work and go down those mud rabbit holes.
Hey, I'm doing this one arm tonight. I still can't straighten my arm.
Oh, golly.
Well, so
Get
let me give
better.
everybody in the
I
chat a
will.
quick shout out.
Alrighty.
Thanks to Andre, thanks to Schmidt, thanks to Canadian, Emily, R.A. Garcia, Mad
And
Paul,
Matt
of
Pogue
course,
and Peggy Dancer.
Peggy Dancer stopping in, and Pacquiao for stopping in. Anybody
Dark
I missed,
Brain, if you're out
DM.
there.
Yep, Chase, if you're out there, everybody. We appreciate everyone stopping in. Any
Absolutely.
closing statements from you, Terry? What do we got over there?
Happy Thanksgiving, happy Gratitude Day coming up. Golly, a lot going on in the news. Just breathe. Just breathe. It's okay. It'll be okay. We'll get through all of this. So there we go. Yeah. Have a great night.
I can throw a
Mudrabbit,
couple of
thank
shameless
you.
plugs.
And I have something else too.
Oh, yeah. You guys both get in.
Go ahead, Brett.
Saturday, I'll be live at church
Okay.
at 6:00
That's Central Time,
Eastern.
Eastern? Okay. So, and that's Brett's worship channel, if anybody doesn't know where to find him on YouTube.
And my shameless plug, don't forget Truth Quest with Aaron Moriarty on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, right here on YouTube.
It's a good show.
And those are nighttime shows. And don't forget Zoso Dude over on dlive. You've got to check out Zoso Dude 77.
For some good tunes and some good chat conversation.
Yeah, especially on Saturdays. His rock show just really, it rocks.
Let's see. Chat. I'm gonna catch up the chat a little bit while I'm closing up too. Let's do a show with Terry next week if possible. We'll see what Terry's up to. I don't know. He's got a busy
Possible.
schedule.
Yeah, that could be possible. Maybe a Thursday. Well, that's Thanksgiving, isn't it? Yeah. Next
Mhm.
week's Thanksgiving. That's off the table.
There you go.
Maybe in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Maybe in the December. Yeah, definitely.
And sometime in December, I will be doing a concert on my channel.
Cool.
Is it the couple that usually comes on?
Mhm.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they do a really good job.
And it will be a Christmas concert. We're gonna sing Christmas songs.
Yeah, they're one of my favorite shows that you do. That you kind of do them annually, don't you?
Every other month.
Every other month. Yeah. Yeah, they do a really good job. It's are they a husband and wife, or is that
Yes,
okay? I just didn't want to reach, but yeah, no, they're a great little duo that you can come check out on Brett's channel as well.
I have one pinned. If you go to my channel now, I have the last one that we did pinned on my channel.
All right. Well, yeah, everybody get a chance to check out Brett's channel, and definitely check out Aaron Moriarty because we can't push him enough. I mean, he
Yeah,
brought all
Aaron.
us together, and he's bringing everybody else together daily. So, yeah,
He really does a good job
Monday,
at it.
Wednesday, and Friday, and you get some random shows on the weekends.
Yep. If he has Andrew.
Yeah, if Andrew's up for the task, because Aaron always is.
Yep.
But yeah, I appreciate everybody coming on. Everybody have a good rest of your evening. Probably already morning for some, but sleep well. We'll talk to you soon.
Good night, everybody.